Oh, there is noise. We are good.
Good, yeah.
How are you seeing his stream? Callum, what the fuck?
Oh, I'm stealing it from Mouse.
I get
Callum's a mod.
all the best stuff.
Right, okay.
That's fine.
Okay. That's a lie. I don't get all the best.
I had to
stuff,
refresh like 3 times after you said it to know that the stream was to see that the stream had actually started. That's like yeah, these mod privileges are bullshit, man.
Yeah.
He was there in
Why
the
am I
dark
not
times.
a mod? I think we've discussed that.
I was gonna say we have discussed it on stream many times. Yes. Yep.
Okay. I assume there were good reasons.
Yeah. Let's just say that they were. Rather than having to list them. Because I can actually link you to the video, which is the reason. But yeah.
Okay, I'd like to see that, please.
Oh dear. Well, does the phrase International Women's Day mean anything to you? Yes.
That was great.
I nearly took you off my games. That's how bad that was. Oh god.
Oh, that was excellent work.
Oh,
that was a joke that had like 3 levels to it. It was very well constructed.
And no levels were welcomed. Oh man, it was awful. I even contemplated just not uploading the video. That's how bad it was. But either way, that's us loving running RP as a team, right, folks? 114 sessions of this. Welcome to this game, Starfinder, the Fragments of Eternity. And it was the most apt named fucking game I've ever written, just honestly. Although I've decided I'm going to change the name, so I'm just doing this now. So we're now the Goblins of Chaos.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
That's us. The title page has been changed.
The Goblins and Chaos. Oh fuck. I had a great joke there and then I mispronounced Goblins and Chaos.
Also, hi Siren, and thank you Siren.
I've misspoken. Okay. Hello Siren.
Oh dear. So
I was going to make a joke about how Goblins of Chaos sounds like it could be like a Glory Hammer album or something like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I was going to say, didn't Goblins of Chaos get cancelled because the band get cancelled? And then I tried to say it and I somehow couldn't get past the second word.
Okay.
Yeah. I said Goblins in Chaos. Yep. I'm aware of this.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like this is just making the title more apt, right? So yeah. Anyway, back to the GM layer with you. Anyway, something about starting this again. So, welcome to Starfinder, the Fragments of Eternity, session 114. I'm Ryan, the GM. It's the 31st of January, 2022. Where has the time gone? Here are the players.
Where has the time gone? Who stole it?
Yes.
That's a question.
Zig.
I'm Nico.
Hello.
Probably
I
with
didn't
Zig.
steal it. I borrowed it.
Did someone roll already? Oh,
borrowed time.
You are Nico.
I am Nico, and I'm playing Zora, the best captain.
And hello also from Colin, who will be playing Lyco Quint, Sneaky Spooky Space Goblin Ghost. And that is me.
What's up?
It's almost as bad as like the Budweiser and frogs or toads, right?
I think that's what it was.
Why?
Anyway, yeah, hi, I'm Alex. I'll be playing Weird, the android mechanic.
What's
up?
Sorry, I got stuck.
I just thought it was a Zig impression for a second, because that was almost identical.
Yeah. That's how we impersonate.
Speaking of Zig, Zig did a really stupid thing and accidentally deleted all the samples that I took last week. So
oh my god.
Gutted.
I was wondering why they never made it to my inbox.
So I will just do it live, I guess.
Yay.
Hi, I'm Callum, and I'll be playing Zig, the mystical space rat from the sun, who has not taken stolen or borrowed time. Just,
where's the time egg?
Zig is the time egg.
Give it back.
Just slowly cocoons himself in it. It's like he ends the game. Bye. Yep. I mean, I've thought of weirder endings, to be fair, so that'll do. Oh dear. Yes, very true, Siren. Very, very true. So yeah. What happened last time?
I don't know. You tell me.
It's a good question. You tell me.
Hard to say.
I didn't know that would work.
Well, I wrote that we caught Callum up. So back to you, team.
Who's up?
That's all right. Okay, Callum's caught up. He can tell us.
Next.
So stuff, things, and monstrosities. Timey-wimey nonsense, and that's it.
The two worst
Everything that
detectives
happened.
met
two
the
best
worst
detectives.
criminal.
We had the greatest, like...
Doesn't that balance out, though?
Diplomacy
No.
competition between Zora and the other...
Yoba.
That's right. I had to sort of
Yoba
try to scroll up and find the
Zanozny.
name.
Yep.
Or Zanozny. The reason I know
Zanozny,
this is
yeah.
because I changed my Twitter
Yeah.
name to be that.
I forgot you did that.
I did.
Yeah. So yeah, Yoba Zanozny. Genuinely just
Yoba
the
that
worst criminal, right? In the game.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Sparks was a much more lucrative criminal.
Mark really managed to upsell some garbage.
Yeah, you're like Sparks is maybe the best criminal in the fucking universe that we've found so far. He sold garbage to a cop.
The best criminal.
To be fair, like, Old Man Guns did sell 3 like mismatched guns to Lyko and offered him a gift bag he didn't have. So, I mean, yeah. To each their own.
Yeah.
Don't want to undercut poor Old Man Guns.
Oh,
Yeah, but he's dead.
Old Man Guns isn't a criminal though. I mean, he's just a
I don't know how legal
market.
his sources are.
We got him very killed.
Yeah.
I don't blame us.
I mean, we didn't fucking blow up Absalom. It was our glass.
We got him killed in other ways.
Hmm.
I mean, we did get him involved with Aspers probably in some shape, manner, or form, but that's not our fault.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Emlyn
took the deal.
forged the signature of like associate buttons, I think, was the exact way that went down. And that's that's a while ago.
Yeah, that was when associate buttons.
Well, you're
was alive.
bastards. What you doing being a police officer? Like, you should be arresting yourself right now. We're monsters. Like, you should be arresting us and then arresting yourself. Put us in a cell.
That's not typically how it works. To be
Also,
fair.
that was session 8 that happened in, guys, just so you know. Fucking
I
hell.
think I can't advise myself of my own
Really?
rights, so it wouldn't be legal.
I can
2018.
advise you,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
only for us.
Wow.
you could just get the business done. You know, like.
I think you've been undeputized forcibly.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, so
Well,
anyway, let's
because-
discuss that then, right? What else happened? Alright, so we had
Oh,
the
I
2
know,
worst
of course.
detectives. Tell us more about that,
Yeah.
Nico.
2 worst detectives met the worst criminal. And then the figgy showed up. What's her face? SK took us to Matva. Matva's like, oh, I'm taking all the investigation now. And then we're like, but we've got Babak on my back. And she's like, no, pal, I've got Babak on my back. And we're like, oh, fuck. And that's about it, really.
She was bringing the sexy bit back. Yes. Oh, dear.
So Matva gets the investigation until we do something about her.
Oh, really? Like what?
Murder, death, kill. When she doesn't have a fucking
Some
small
good old
arm,
MDK, yeah.
Yeah, like Nick Gage, yeah, MDK all fucking day. Can I say that in the stream? Probably. I'm sure I have.
I don't know. I don't know anymore, Colin. I'm just going to assume no if you have to ask that question.
Okay, that's fine. I'm 440 anyway.
I don't know.
For fans of indie wrestling.
I think I'd rather it was 404, but that's fine. Anyway, what else we got? What else happened? So we've got that falling apart, the investigation, yep. But technically
Yep.
given you answers you were looking for anyway. So in a way, it's quite efficient.
Oh, and then Lyko shows up and he's like, here lads, got some bad news, Finaida's dying.
Yes.
It's not
Ah,
quite.
I'm shortening it, okay? I'm putting it in Nico short.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it's like a font.
I spoke
Like,
with Van Halen.
Yes. Yes.
with Whitestake at length.
Helen.
And
Yes.
we discussed some of the, some of the Barai stuff.
Yeah.
Cindy L appeared with Zig in tow.
Oh, I forgot
That was
about that
quite
part.
exciting.
Right, that would have been good to add into the Nico shot. Right, you're
That's
right.
all right. That's cool. I got it.
We know where
And
Nico's
then-
priorities are.
Took us to the ship where we dramatically announced our presence, and also, as a result of this strange ongoing business, I am somewhat suspicious. Shako's condition, which is actually a Robert Ludlum novel, and then we closed on a bit of a cliffhanger, as I recall.
There was. Does anybody else remember the cliffhanger?
I don't.
Okay.
Actually, it was a cliffhanger.
Okay, we'll get to it. Weird. Anything to add?
Shakos woke up.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah. And also, Cindy L wanting everybody to get to Traxxas to hand over the comatose query and get the bioweapon to kill like a massive threat to his people. Mostly that too.
He's been very pushy about it.
Yeah, like I think more recently
Yeah.
he's kind of maybe just ran out of options, right? Like there's very little else to do. As far as
We've
he's
shown
concerned.
him the drinks machine. I think that could buy some time.
Don't know, he was very precious over that cup that he broke before, so.
Yeah, but just give him more cups.
You also just don't want to leave
You
him
know what's
like
better than 1 cup?
more cups?
2 cups.
Okay.
Two
don't know.
girls.
No.
No.
Like I like that we all saw that there lying on the ground in the corner, and then Colin had to go pick it up. Like.
Yeah.
I was going to say someone had to, but no, Colin had to.
Yeah.
I've never watched that video.
Me neither, and I don't think it has much for me in it. Let's
I
put it that
actually
way.
have surprisingly good judgment.
You're here on your Monday
Do you know
night
what? I
with
don't
us.
doubt that. I think your judgment is actually pretty sound, and you choose to ignore it.
Yes.
Thank you, Colin.
You win that argument with that little voice in your head.
To be fair, yeah, it's like saying somebody's got a really, really safe car, but they choose not to drive it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so goals. Let's go through this process now.
Oh
Goes
yeah.
Yep, always believe in
He did
your
the
soul.
thing.
in the tugboat.
Oh, we're believe.
Right, have a personal hand in the death of Demigesh, probably.
Dun, dun, dun.
Clarify Babak's loyalties.
Weird. You're up.
Weird.
On the wrong page.
Aren't we all?
End Matva's influence, brackets, or heartbeat. Close brackets.
Fine goal.
That's a great goal.
Do you not like Matva now? Is this it? Is everybody jumping on the Let's Hate Matva train?
I'm all about ending.
We're done messing about, right? And she's messing us about.
It's go time. But yes, fix Thanaida's death, or death. Fix Thanaida's death.
Tonight is death. Yes. A horribly apostrophed sentence.
Sorry, I found some extra apostrophes, so I had to add them in.
That's fair. We gotta put him
Well,
somewhere.
they're just lying around. You can't just waste them.
You're a born fantasy author.
It's funny because I was going to make a Pratchett joke about spare belief there, so it was very fitting. Anyway, good. General goals, everybody.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Yeah.
And I'd plan with the bioweapon, unless somebody else helping bring in bone sages into the Alchemist plan. Buy more yogurts to find an Alice. I mean, makes sense. Hand over query to MO. Loop in as many allies into plan B.
Just as many.
Yep. Not even loop in. Just as many. Okay. Well, that was relatively painless, actually. I'll give you that one.
Exactly as expected.
Yeah. So, I guess the scene opens with what did you do after Cinderella said, "Why aren't we going to try access now?" So you're on the bridge. Was there much to do? So montage for me, this guys. What happened when? What was the decision above Akaton? What did you want to do as a team?
What is the decision above Acton? That's the question.
We
Yeah.
could, for instance, use this opportunity to try talk him round to bring people on board for our brilliant plan.
Yes. What was Plan B though?
I think Plan A is
Oh.
what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Oh, right, Plan
A,
A, right.
just gank him.
Yeah.
Like the only difference between Plan A and Plan B is that Plan A is called A,
Well, no, Plan B is if we don't have
the bioweapon.
the bioweapon, just act as if we did anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
So yeah, please use this time
I feel like we
effectively.
did have a slightly more detailed Plan B at one point, and it's just evolved.
Yeah.
Plan B was just to like lure him and then everybody batter him, essentially. But yeah, and I think there was like some skullduggery to like lure people into the same place, so it's just like an all-out rammy. But like,
Yeah.
then we came up with bio warfare.
Fair.
Warfare.
So this was meant to be a more efficient way for you to plan, but maybe it isn't.
So, what was the exact nuances of Plan A again? Because I can't remember. I forgot, man. I think it was like something.
I don't
like,
really
we
need you to
go-
reiterate Plan A or B. I just need you to tell me like what you are doing immediately, like above Akaton. Like, are you going to stay in orbit and do more stuff in Akaton? Are you going to like set course to another planet? Like, what is the next scene for the gang?
I should not really depart Versus, even though I have already. I should return to Versus.
Okay, well, let's have that scene then.
Wait,
perhaps.
hold on. No. Was actually no. Before I say that, was Babak not still aboard thingy?
Babak's out in, like, as far as you know, Babak's still on the line in the sand. Which is
Yeah, it
off in the
may be
diaspora somewhere.
wiser for me to actually go and speak to him there directly, immediately. But I don't know what everyone's thoughts are on that.
It depends. Like, I think you would need to debrief the team, right? So let's go to the conference room in the ship, right? Let's go to the briefing room, aka Weird's current lab, and we can have you debrief each other there. There's the scene, right? So, who is starting the meeting? I'm glad the captain volunteered. Go ahead, captain.
Right. So what we're doing about the current situation with Matva and well, getting Cindy out to getting us to try Axis.
And who did you invite to this meeting? Did you invite?
Everybody, screw it. Have Cindy in on it as well, because
and mostly Demadvin, so you remember she exists.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody.
Well, no.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So if Zora's put out the call for everybody to attend, does Lyko go up and say maybe not Madvin?
I think Lyko does. Perhaps not verbatim. Captain, I'm not entirely convinced to this point of the Madrin's loyalties. I felt that she was a little evasive when I confronted her about it. Perhaps is the way to put it. I think she almost certainly will report, say, whoever her most direct supervisor be, if I can put it that way.
I mean, it makes sense, but I mean, she pretty much knows the whole plan anyway. Like, out of the game, I'm pretty sure we did discuss all of this right in front of you.
And she has been on the line in the sand.
Yeah, but then some of this stuff that we discussed, like for instance, when I returned last session.
Yeah, and all the
like-
stuff in your brain speak as well, right? All
yeah,
that stuff.
she's not looped in and all that.
Mhm.
So
Right. So okay then, everybody, but the Madvin.
And obviously Query will be in a coma still.
Yeah.
You could wheel him in
Yeah.
just to keep an eye on him.
maybe if you put it out to senior crew.
I would nod, and I will do such whatever. Yeah, in text, via text, you know.
Or we can even just do it by brain speak, but you know.
No, but
I was gonna say, yeah, senior crew would include CC and Ivan.
Yeah, that's fair. We should
Yeah.
include them. I'm sure Ivan
Even
will
though
have
they
great
don't have-
contributions.
Yeah.
What is Ivan's job title?
yeah, how do you know he doesn't have?
So Ivan's job title. Let me go back in the notes because I did write it down when we
King
were.
of the Ooze?
Well, that's kind of his title, right? Ultimately, but not necessarily his job. So,
He's the most senior of us all. He's royally.
Yeah, but that's like how the Queen is her title, but
Mhm.
her job, she's actually a barista.
Yeah. Let's see. Where are we? Where did I write all this down?
In Palace
No, I
has one
believe
hell of a
it's a
Starbucks.
aristocrat.
No, I'll give you that one, Colin. That was alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
was-
not one of the worst things you've done.
No, there's been worse.
Alright, listen, guys. It's a well kept secret, but I am funny.
Let's see. He is merely listed as an officer on my sheet here.
Nah.
So he's not even a
That's
chief
not
officer, so he is not in fact senior staff.
Yeah, well, that makes it's handier because Ivan doesn't have a phone to text, so
Or hands.
Or
eyes,
brain,
mouth.
as far as we can tell.
He is at best what could be described as a decentralized intelligence.
Yeah. Or an
I don't
assembly
appreciate
ooze.
all this. I don't appreciate all this down talking of Ivan. You know, he is an intelligent being, and you just don't understand him.
Yeah, I think our titles at the moment were, so obviously we've got Zora as Admiral, Lyko is Chief Security Officer, Weird is Chief Engineering Officer, Zig is Chief Mystic Officer, Thanaida also got a rank of Captain, Isabel was temporarily a First Officer for Thanaida, Alice was obviously the first of the officers, Ivan is an officer, unless that's been changed since, and Query is given like crewman status, like the lowest guest privilege, basically. And CC is Chief Science Officer.
Okay, so
We should
I'll call
include CC.
everybody, including CC,
Yep.
and I guess I'll ask Lyko, Jubad to like try and loop in Sindel. Yeah.
He'll hear us. Sindel? I say brainily.
I mean, if you're having this in the conference room, he probably just followed you, right?
Okay, well if he did, then
Yeah.
we wouldn't have said that. So that's fine.
So I think he's just with you, unless you've told him to go somewhere else. He's just followed the guy.
Okay, that's good. That's handy.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, and then CC will appear eventually.
That's almost compliance
Mhm.
for once.
CC turns up with like some kind of space burger.
Spurger.
Yeah.
It's easy. Any more word and before I better check that this wasn't a plot point that was resolved that I've then forgotten about. We determine that it was the dragons definitely that were following him.
No, you didn't determine anything because he just didn't like expound on
Really
anything that happened. Yeah. Plus, I think something else came up at that point. I can't remember what it was, but like something else did happen. Wasn't that when you went to go visit like Babak? I think that happened all at the same time. So, because remember you'd sent communications out and then you got coordinates back, so you didn't really have time to engage with CC at that point.
Yeah, that's probably.
I think that's probably what happened. So it's not really been that.
Was to them.
It's definitely not been resolved as such. It's kind of just been left to the ether. And CC has he's not filed any reports, obviously.
Yeah, I sort of just like essentially. CC, I wanted to ask you regarding the tale you had on.
He looks obviously behind him.
No, the on Triaxis you were being your activity was being followed.
He just nods and like munches into his burger.
What can you tell us about whoever was following?
He like one of his hands like reaches above him and he like goes on like his tiptoes and he's as if he's trying to like tell you a height.
Okay.
And he finishes his burger and then burps and then looks at you and then and just nods.
Dragons, dragon agents.
And then he points at you and you say dragon agents.
I point at myself questioningly.
And he tilts his head at you.
So, dragon agents, is that a yes?
Gives you a thumbs up.
Okay. White dragon?
He sends you over like a file that just like, makes his way to your comm device.
I will look at it.
Yeah, and it's like a Triaxis like piece of PR from like years ago. And it's like, the coalition of the 5 Dragon Front, etc. Like it's basically like a kind of, businessman of the year. Like see they come out like a Forbes article.
Okay.
It's like that about the dragons of Triaxis, the heads of the families, as it were. Obviously White Blossom is one of them. Himani is also one of them. And this article is from like long before his like fall from grace. So yeah, it's literally just like the front cover of that magazine he sends you.
I see. Is there anything I can glean from that? Should I roll something for that?
Do you mean is there anything like CC's trying to like convey to you through
Yeah,
this?
it's like, is that something I would like be able to read a message from, or is this literally just a piece of semi-relevant information he sent?
It's more likely to be semi-relevant, yeah, like he's not saying, look at the way they're standing, it's exactly like this, yeah, there's no like subtext to it, it is just him saying, this is who I meant, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that'd be who I'm thinking of, but you didn't get a sense of who specifically it was? I was assuming White Blossom, but I shrug.
He kind of shrugs and then scratches his backside and looks at you. And then like he kind of like trips, like at you a bit and tilts his head and looks at you with his hands on his hips.
Can I roll to see if I understood that?
I mean, have you been learning Skittermander?
I've been trying to pick up a bit.
Yeah, give me something then. Give me a culture roll, right? And we'll see if you can piece anything together.
Okay. Because we've all sort of been making efforts to try and get a sense of.
You spent like a good amount of time with CC, right? Like as a group. So yeah. Yeah, I think like you could probably get his frustration is very obvious. Disappointment, expectancy, nothing solid translation wise. It's more just a flurry of, you could summarize it as, why are you asking me? Is probably your best bet at translation.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I'll address that exactly. Because what I was sort of tried to dig at is in case he thought there were any other parties involved, just because I'm curious. Like,
do you leave that hanging for a second or two then, or like to process what you said, or do you immediately reply?
No, I think it'll take me like maybe a beat, but it won't. I'm not going to be standing there staring at him blankly.
I just mean like if it's like longer than say 5 seconds, he will go to walk off because that's his attention span.
Oh, it won't. It won't be longer than 5 seconds. It'll be a few seconds. Say, you've not noticed any observation of our activities by any other parties recently? The stewards, for instance.
Kind of points at you.
Well, not me specifically.
Points at Zora.
Oh, he was deputized briefly, but
Points at Weird.
same story with him.
Points back at you with a different hand because obviously he's got 6 to play with. So
Yeah, I mean, have you noticed any indication that there has been any observation of or communications or activity by outside sources that could be related to the stewards?
points at himself.
I mean, I'm not sure I follow.
You get a text message saying, "When do I get deputized?"
When it's necessary, it's not something we're supposed to just
He just
do.
he just starts nodding and like tapping his hands together, all like 6 of them, and he walks just around the table, nodding to himself.
There may come an opportunity, but probably not. Right now.
He climbs himself up onto the table, like pushing some of the stuff that Weird's obviously been working on just to the side so he can just plank himself on the table.
CC, I'm concerned that we may be under some scrutiny because of some of the work we've been doing. And I don't think we've been given full information by my superiors. They might be
He nods when you say that, right? He just kind of
concerned
nods.
about how much we know.
And then you get like a text from him again, and it says it's a bit flowery the way it's worded. It's clearly been copy and pasted from somewhere else on like the galactic internet or whatever. But like it's essentially something that says about like the dissemination of information and like the the responsibility involved in what you choose to share with subordinates.
Okay.
So it's almost like an ethics article, and he just like nods at it, and then another text after it saying, "Babak seems busy. Nothing worth listening to."
Okay.
But you don't know, so Lyko reading that could be we, as the crew, aren't worth listening to. Or Babak isn't worth listening to.
I was thinking it was the latter, so I'm just gonna clarify that.
Yeah.
And you have been listening, I assume.
He kind of looks around at the 3 of you again, like almost nervously, and then you get a text just saying, "I want immunity first."
Okay, let's discontinue this conversation for now.
Nods.
Just be aware that there may be observation.
He starts looking in the corners of the rooms and like under the table.
I mean, probably digital, but I can't really rule that out. Captain, that was something that had occurred to me. As we've become more aware of the relationship between steward leadership and certain elements in the Viscarium, that adds an extra wrinkle to our security concerns about this vessel.
You hear over the intercom, "Should I be listening into this?" It's Finalis.
How much do we trust the programming?
Yeah, that. How much am I trusted?
I would like to think you are trusted, but
like the holograms like blink in, and she appears. Goes, "Good, because I heard all of that."
Matfa does seem to know pretty much everything that we're doing though. I thought we got rid of all the things on this ship that she might be able to track us through, but
Yeah,
there may be
I
other
hid.
ways. Good.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
She just smiles.
There may be. I'm not sure what it would be, but I would guess that she's not going to trust the observation of us purely to us being. She's not going to take the chance that we would leave this ship unaltered, right? She's got to know. When you look at this group, there's a couple of us who probably would be quite capable. Any sort of
Alice like
gestures
puts her
over to-
hand down in between both you and like Zora's line of sight, and she, as if she's just making two. Goes, so they looked everywhere.
Define everywhere.
If it's attached to us floating in space, they looked at it when they were waiting on you coming up from the surface. Well, not you. I don't know how you got on board, but when they were waiting on the others coming from the surface. Should we go get our shuttle?
Probably. They find anything of interest to them?
She kind of like shrugs a bit and goes, "So I hid."
Yeah. Okay. That's understandable.
I don't think so. And I don't think they left anything either. But, and she looks over it weird. You might want to, you know.
That's something I should probably. I need to speak to Babak. I've got to return soon.
Is that where we're going? And she like points vaguely in the direction of like the bridge.
Well, I thought with the assistance of our friend here, gesturing to Sindel, I might be able to make the trip that little bit quicker.
Cindy like reading whatever like notes are open from Weird's work, and turns and goes, "Yes, yes, helping." Looks back at the work.
And then we might be able to return to some other pressing matters.
Are you going the way when you say return? You just meant to Versus, right? You didn't mean to go see Babaki Pooh.
I mean, I misspoke. I think I should, frankly, do both, but I think it is pressing that I speak to Babak. He's directly intervened in my investigation without giving me a reason, which suggests that he doesn't really want to look me in this, and I don't like that.
Perhaps in your attempts to persuade him, insight into Matva might be helpful. I would like to think he knows what he's getting himself into, but just in case.
Yeah, and that's a good offer, I think.
Are you proposing we all go?
Anybody worth input, I suppose. Anybody that feels like they can help.
CC just lays on the table.
Well, I don't suppose your presence could terribly hurt, but okay. Here's the question. Babak, say he doesn't tell me anything I particularly want to hear, say he has answers that we don't like. I've taken this commission and I didn't take it lightly. I feel like I have an obligation to try and ensure that the stewards as an organization are that they're on the right track, that they are following a path that's conducive to the safety of the pack. I understand we have pressing matters to deal with. But this isn't something that I would be able to let slide. That said, I'm assuming the worst here. It's very, very possible. It's even likely that he's trying to play both sides, that he's trying to gain some advantage, bide for time, that he's fully aware of exactly what he's getting himself into. But even so, we can't just work on the assumption that he knows what he's doing. And even if he does, that he can necessarily be trusted. His handling of this whole business has been... Yeah. So the question then is, what happens if we get those answers we don't like?
Death.
Well, I mean, that would be my answer as well, but I understand you don't like that answer.
I would suggest I would not be...
He needs to understand that he's not making this situation easier. That's for sure.
your deaths.
That would be unfortunate, and
Dale, do you have some particular insight into this situation?
No.
You're just predicting that if we approach him and he isn't playing for the right team, that he will simply have us killed rather than try and work his way out of the situation.
I would.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Dale, I wonder if this is perhaps... What do you know of Tectolanus' interest in the Elyprian? In Urgalas, I should say.
Kind of cocks his head to the side, as if like thinking, and like his eyes move before his head does, and then they look at you again, and he like rights his head up, and he goes,
What should I know?
I understand from speaking with Naracus that the the individual responsible for tasking Aspis with the retrieval of Urgalas was Tectolanus.
he just nods. Vacantly, but he nods, and then he says,
Perhaps I should find out.
It would be good to have the assistance of the Bone Sages in this.
It just starts to
confrontation.
walk out the room.
Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let him go. He
I guess he didn't know.
it's not often that he directly acknowledges that sort of thing. It looks that way. I think it... Actually, you know what? Before I say this out of character, can I roll a sense motive?
Sure.
A slightly retroactive sense motive on him. It's not a good roll by my standards.
Right, what are you after?
Basically, do I get the impression that that was genuine surprise and perhaps even worry? That's kind of what I'm thinking it is, but is that what Lyko would have read from him?
The closest thing you're getting is anger.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, so
Not necessarily directed at you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm going to take from that then that probably came as a surprise to him. His response is anger. That suggests that this wasn't something he knew about, as does the fact that he's going to go and... So he says he's going to go and speak, whatever. Or going to go and find out, whatever. And I think, that Lyko would take from the angry reaction, or the hint of anger, maybe it isn't too strong. He's not an easy man to read, clearly. that's the response of someone learning for the first time, right?
And keep in mind, like, given what Sindile's went through change-wise, that's maybe the only reason you've been able to read anything. Right?
He's now sort of closer to the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I will see then. Where will it be? Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to think that through. Okay, right. There we go. I get the impression that this was new information for him. And I don't expect he intends to talk it over with us before he does anything about it. We should maybe, at least temporarily, rethink or hold off on enlisting Bone Sages. Considering the strange arrangements we saw in that other world, it may not be that the lines between the Librinum and Eoxian are as clear-cut as we have previously thought. At least not in where their allegiances lie.
Yeah, we wouldn't want the Bone Sages to fall in with Urglass as well. I couldn't remember his name there for a second. Why?
It's okay. I mean, it's not an everyday name.
Yeah.
I did theorize, when I first discovered this, that maybe he was regretful of the choice he made at the time. Maybe he now sees things from Urglass's point of view, but
I think
he is what he is.
I think Lyko could make a more accurate statement there, to be honest, given the time you've spent just immersed in Bone Sage culture, right? Like, you've spent basically a year with a Bone Sage, ultimately, as an attaché. Yeah. So yeah, like, I think you could easily make, like, a lot of, like, assumptions a lot more accurately than anybody else. And I think most of them, like, the ones that you've at least heard of, probably wouldn't make the same choice if they could go back and change it.
Yeah. Okay.
Given how much they have lost, it's not to say they're not in a good position in terms of, like, power or, like, influence or whatever.
They aren't what they were. Mm-hmm. And their world isn't what it was. So yeah, I would rephrase that to I mean, especially considering I am talking about them all at that particular instant as well. It makes sense maybe for me to say something like, I doubt many of them would make the choice they did again. Yeah, I think that gets sort of my part across better.
Well, that's a relief.
Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Because maybe it means that he has more potential allies than we thought.
And say he, do you mean Sindel or Urglass?
Urglass.
He means Urglass. Well, at least that's what I thought he was meaning.
Yeah,
I know, it's why I wanted to clarify, because I'm like, I assume you mean Urglass, but I don't want to, like, miss...
Yeah. If there are more Bone Sages who are regretful enough that they would think, oh, maybe Urglass...
Remember, there's 8 Bone Sages left.
Yeah, Urglass was right,
But yeah, even if, like, 3 Bone Sages thought that way, that's still 3 Bone Sages.
Yeah, like, that's my point, is, like use that maths as well, like, the fact that there was, like, 150 or whatever the original number was I said. I still can never remember whatever the original number was. I've never went back to check it, because I don't remember when I said it. So, at some point in the past, I said 140 or 50 something, right? Bone Sages that were, like, the main top, the Eternal Convocation members. And then, obviously, we know from cutscenes and various other methods and Sindel, etc., that number was reduced to 8. So, given Urglass's capability to do that, that would probably sway people enough to be like, maybe his side's a better side to be on,
I think the other side that maybe Lyko might look at it from would be, well, if these 8 survived, maybe they were just the most powerful or the smartest
Mhm.
or the most fortunate or some combination thereof.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
also,
I was going to say, you could make another assumption based on the way Sindel tried to explain why Urgalas is so powerful by comparison to the Bone Sages, and it was about dividing the power source.
yeah.
Obviously, with less people tapping the well, you know?
But I'm sort of also thinking, like, well, could he have, and I'm not saying Lyco necessarily thinks that this is the case, and also I would like to say, he's not necessarily saying that it's a deliberate choice of like, oh, these people will side with me, but is it possible then that he looked at them and determined based on what he remembered of them, like Tectalanis will side with me ultimately. Like maybe there was no deliberate planning of it, but he perhaps chose to
Leave him to, like, stew in
maybe
defeat.
give the impression he'd simply wiped out as many as he could find and then immediately bugger off, but in reality he'd left Tectalanis because he knew Tectalanis had regrets. Maybe he left Cindiel because he'd seen, some hint of Cindiel's history since and thought, well, Cindiel will come round. It could be various things, but what I'm sort of getting at is that he could have strategically left alive the ones that he thought were most useful to him, even if they don't directly see themselves as being on his side or aligned with him in any way.
Yeah. Give me a second, I'm going to try and find the name of the other one. Where is that one's name?
So we've got Ramasethu, Tictalanus, Cindiel.
Yeah, let me find the other guy's name. Where does he exist? I filed him away somewhere.
Blar Gargler.
That weirdly sounds quite
No?
rude, doesn't it?
Blar Gargler, yeah.
Blar.
or it's a nerd. I think it's Nerglish. For those of you who don't know, Nerglish is the language of Murlocs.
And then where is
That language.
Where is this dude? I've definitely, because his name sounds a bit like a Warhammer character, a little. I just don't know where the fuck it's went to.
Well, there's a few of those, unfortunately, so I don't know how.
Oh, there we go. I've got it now. I found it. It's because it's I was looking for the letter K because his name starts with a K, and then I've labelled him as Bone Sage, and then his name, so that's why I couldn't see.
Bonnet Sage.
Let's see. So the ones that you have so far. So we've got Cindiel, obviously. Everybody remembers Ramasethu. That's her full title. Tectalanis, the Archivist. You remember?
Oh yeah.
Carnion Creme. Carnion
Creme sounds vaguely like a 1970s malted drink.
I was gonna say, or like some kind of like cream soda derivative.
Yeah.
Get your Carnion Creme here today.
So yeah, Carnion Creme. And
I'd like one malted Carnion Creme.
Do you remember what Carnion Creme does?
It quenches your thirst.
Yeah. Is it that?
No, he's got quite a big role out of all the Bone Sages.
He's. I don't know. I don't remember.
He's the one that leads the corpse fleet.
Oh right. He's the rogue. He's the loose cannon.
The creme de la creme.
He's the loose cannon that rocks his ship.
Sure. Obviously, the Archivist was the guardian of the electroencephalons.
And interestingly, Archivist is just his actual name.
Yeah.
I just like that idea. The rest of them just have names. This is a pure coincidence.
Yep.
This is just nominative determinism at work. My name actually is just the Archivist.
I mean, would that
not an uncommon name?
Honestly surprise you with the way the Bone Sages work? No. Obviously, Tectalanis was powerful enough to be the second choice of the Eternal Convocation for running.
What was Tectalanis' shtick again? He wasn't, because we've got memory, we've got
You don't know. You haven't really experienced. So you encountered him when you were like being pulled.
Well, I
between...
sort of encountered a vision of him, right? Like he appeared.
Yeah,
in the ship.
you were like pulled to him in some fashion. When he was like, you were exchanging the Cinderella's gone type conversation, and whatever else he said to you in that moment during the attack. But yeah, beyond that, you don't really know much about Tectolinus as a group. You've had very little exposure to him, other than like you specifically having that, like, as I said, like conversation with him.
I think it's perhaps something we should investigate.
Because yeah, like Cinderella's kind of like at all points in time, right? That's why he's kind of a bit weird. His thing was time. Rameseth was definitely memory. The Archivist was, I guess, the afterlife, if you want to go that far, like, or if you want to try and like dub it in some kind of reincarnation-y thing.
Yeah, I sort of saw him as like they're sort of like life, death, undeath guy. Which is very on brand for them.
Yeah, and then Carnion's there, as I said, the rogue, as it were, the breakaway ruffian. Yeah, Carnion's definitely the least rational. Maybe is like I don't have a better word for it. He's the angrier one, right? The more ferocious one, the one people are genuinely scared of. Yeah. Probably didn't want to sign the pact agreement, right?
Yeah, he's the edgiest.
Yeah, so edgy he lives in space with ships open to space. No atmo. Don't need it.
Yeah, you don't really need to breathe when you're dead. That's a rule.
So yeah, there you go. That's them. And you don't know about the others. They've not come up.
You know what? I think this is actually a good time to ask Weird something.
Yes.
Weird. I wonder if you can do some digging on Babak for me.
What are you looking for?
Absolutely anything. The man's spotless, but
And do you want the things that I find to have already been there?
I would prefer it that way.
CC sits up when you say that and kind of starts tapping his hands together excitedly.
I don't necessarily need to know too much in the way of specifics. I just
CC starts chirping at you weird to get your attention.
I look over at him.
He gives you a thumbs up, and then he looks at Lyko and gives Lyko a thumbs up.
Okay.
CC and I will begin investigations then.
CC then does it go as best he can.
Keep it subtle. Yeah, and I guess he's hiding something. I just want to hint at what it might be.
You get a text message that says, "What would you like it to be?" And then it immediately gets deleted.
Whatever it is. If there's some reason to be suspicious of him in this matter, beyond...
Wow. You get a very eager looking CC, and he tries to like wink at you, but he just ends up blinking.
Let me... Is there anything, whether it be sort of politically, religiously, whatever, any indication that he might have motives other than the safety of the pack?
CC just stares at you weird. Like, almost like waiting for like the word go. Almost. Very like slowly rocking back and forth.
Then I'll yeah, before looking over to CC. Yeah. Okay, Lyko. Let's see what we can find.
Thank you.
And then signal to CC that we're going to go to another room.
Yeah, he like
Basically,
runs across the table and then like scampers up like one of your arms onto your shoulder.
I'll sort of say to the captain, we're going to do this, we might as well go in prepared.
Give him a nod.
CC salutes with one of his hands.
So, Zig,
Mm-hmm.
the Nida. What are we going to do about it?
I think I might need to speak to her.
I think that's a good idea.
Mm.
Do you think you can help?
It's definitely possible, but I'll need to do a lot of preparation.
Promise
Um,
nothing to her unless you can do it.
Understood.
Before you go off and do anything, though, you should probably know. Remember what she did with the guy in the station?
Mm-hmm.
Get that information out of him. When I was speaking to Dr. Helen, she described like a continued existence of his brainwaves. She'd replicated the patterns of his thinking almost within her mind. Not quite sure. I'm not going to pretend I understand this stuff. I'm not even sure she really understood this. It's it's advanced science and mysticism, and it's not really my. Anyway, and let me just clarify this before I say it in character and it's nonsense. The other one was her sister, right?
No, you thought
No,
that though.
what was it? I thought that, but I did think that.
I'm saying
but
I've
I
never
didn't have any-
clarified.
You
Yeah.
didn't clarify.
Yeah.
I that was the conclusion I came to.
I think I went as far as it seemed identical to hers.
There, that's probably where I got the sister thing from.
Yeah.
Because if it had just been Drow, I might have thought Shakos.
Yeah. But no, it seemed identical to hers, is I think my exact wording.
Okay, so I will be slightly more cautious than what I was initially going to say. There's a third pattern. It's
Okay.
her natural baseline pattern plus this human pattern she's picked up. There's a third one. It's again, I'm not going to pretend I understand how this was even distinguishable, but it's supposedly identical to her own.
Like two versions of herself.
Well, now that you say that, you're having me think a little bit more about an alternate explanation that I don't really want to think about too much. My initial instinct was that it could be her sister, but now that you've said that, I'm sort of thinking timeline. She shouldn't be freed if her sister isn't dead, but her sister isn't dead, and she is free.
I think Zig kind of scratches his chin at that.
So, could it be that, and I suggest this to Helen, but she couldn't really confirm anything like that. But there could it be that it's a reflection of another her that no longer exists, an alternate her that, are we talking about two different timeline versions of the same person merged? Is I don't know what it means, but I thought you had probably better know about it before you did anything.
That's good to know. Did Do you know if any of us have similar, I guess, extra versions? I assume. Sorry, I assume Lyko got a.
I got scanned and it
Yeah,
was not
got
the
scanned.
same as hers.
Okay, cool.
There's yeah, I consider that the timeline changes could have also affected me, but that doesn't seem to have been the case. Yeah, I'm really unsure about what any of this is actually going to mean in practice, but it's definitely worth keeping in mind. I assume whatever try would involve.
Up to
Please stand
I
by.
think was more.
Yes.
Uh,
How does Zora feel about this conversation in the moment?
sorry about that.
Thank you for your thoughts.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, what was I saying there? I've lost myself.
Well, you're asking Zig pretty much like his thoughts.
Oh,
on...
I was going to ask him if it involved something akin to sort of mind linky stuff. That's what I was going to ask him. I assume what you would be doing to try and help her would be similar to what we've seen you do in the past.
Mm.
Well,
Well, I think I need to consider some options. I am in kind of untested territory here.
yeah, I mean, I know that you've had some difficulties with interacting with the minds of others before in that manner, and in this occasion, you could be interacting with, in a sense, more than one mind simultaneously, right? I don't know if that's how that would work, but that's how it seems like it would work to me.
Yeah. Were these I guess I think he kind of does like air quotes extra people. Was it all jumbled together or were they all seem very separate?
They were distinct.
Excuse me.
Like she could identify clear brainwave patterns. It was like I say, she was confident enough to say that there were two identical sets in there. I wouldn't have thought that it would be easy to disentangle the two unless they're, maybe they're just so separate to begin with that it's immediately obvious. I really don't understand how she. He does his "I'm not a scientist" shrug,
Okay.
but she is a highly decorated doctor with the stewards, and her interests are wide ranging.
Mhm.
I trust her knowledge and abilities.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'll need to speak to Thanaida, I guess sooner rather than later.
Ideally, I wonder. I hate to sound callous, but I wonder if we should perhaps, consider how this affects our plans. I said before that it might move up the timeline, but if she isn't able to assist us in accessing the vault because she's no longer there, then bear in mind 6 months is an estimate. And he sort of, makes his effort to sort of, not quite gesturing, just to kind of like the start of, as if he's going to say something and maybe gesticulate, but he doesn't. Like, All I'm saying
Yeah.
is, it might. We can't count on her being around as long as we would like her to.
Mm-hmm.
So we shouldn't pin the hopes of everyone on a plan that requires her to be involved. I'm sorry to talk about her as if she's already, but well, let
We
me
need
put
to
it
be
this way.
prepared for the worst.
Yeah, and a long enough timeline, she is effectively already out of the picture. Unless someone is able to help. And then there's a question of Alice.
Like Finalis just looks at you and blinks.
Apologies. I mean to say the
Yeah, the other one. No, I know.
you were able to find her previously, and
Yes,
she was with Aspis.
I think so. It was hard to take in
It,
in such a short space of time, but
it
that's what I think.
seemed likely from what you said, and well, I think she might be more willing to deal with us in that matter if she is in receipt of a different and
Mm.
before we do anything further with it, I have a couple of things I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
Captain, I hope I'm not being impertinent.
No. Carry on.
If you were able to reach Query, and I think we should before we do whatever we have to do, if you're able to reach him, you may be able to reach Shakos. I am concerned for her safety.
Is this the
when
first
she wakes up?
time that Zig is hearing about anything to do with Query, though?
Is it?
So, let me. So Zig left right before, I think during like decision making on what to do with Query.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Before that was actually concluded. So Zig, as far as Zig is like aware, I think, the last Zig knows of Query was when Query was going to get dropped off at Castrovel.
Yeah, I think.
That's it.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh. Okay.
So actually, I suppose then, while you were mentioning Query and stuff, I suppose Zig would probably question like what the decision and the consensus was on.
Well, like I think, like if you were technically in the scene and then you would be excused narratively, I'm assuming you left while they tackled him to the ground, since that was the next scene. When we came back into that, imagine you maybe just took nothing to do with the scene. Would be my,
I think
my guess.
Yeah, I think Zig wouldn't.
I don't think you were there. I'll be honest. I don't actually think you were there. Like, I feel like this happened.
I'm honestly trying to.
So the reason why I don't think that is because Colin had already left on his personal transport with Article 1, and you never met Article 1 in like the game, right? Callum. I think
No.
you were watching, though, that session.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you left
That'll
on
be
the
where
line in
I'm
the
getting,
sand,
yes.
and they left. Because remember, Sindel had to like hop over when you were leaving the line in the sand, clearing the docking, and then you were.
That's right.
So yeah, like so you weren't there at all. So yeah, this is all new to you.
Okay, yeah. So,
I think it's because you watched
yeah,
that session.
that's where I'm getting
yeah.
muddled. It's because I watched it and I have like some of that. I was like, oh,
Thank
of course
you.
I was there.
Thank you, Brain.
Yes, no, that's right. So yeah, this is all new to Zig. So I think Zig would, well, I guess, in some way, question that. I'm not 100% sure how to word that.
Well, actually, I mean, you could just ask what happened with Query, right? Because you don't know. You know you were debating lobotomizing him, or almost.
That's right. I says, oh, so, what happened with Query? How did we?
CC makes some very vague gestures involving his head and hands.
I decided to let Cindy give it a try. We all went into his mind.
Oh.
Well, he was definitely Edgar in the other world. He was the lead of Aspis there.
I see.
He kind of led like a. I don't know how to word it. It's not like a
What are you
led.
trying to?
He basically stole the void egg, right? But I'm trying to like word it.
Radiation egg, but yeah.
Yeah. I keep on saying void egg.
I know. It's alright. I know you mean the rad egg. Yep.
But yeah, he helped lead a force to steal the radiation egg, which was that universe's
Starstone.
Starstone on Absalom. Tried to flee with it at first, but he eventually gave it over to Urgalas, who wasn't an Alibrian,
So
but
that's
he was the leader of the Bone Sages.
That's all unclear. So the vision was you saw him like basically like taking out the people of the reactor like staff, and that got in his way. They took the egg. They then fled the under attack Absalom station of their world. And then he was attacked fleeing with the egg, and then there was visions of him being crash landed on Octurne.
Okay.
There was no him handing anything over.
Did I pretty much admit to that? I'm pretty sure something along the lines happened.
Yeah, he did say something about he was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Query said it. You've never seen it though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, you did speak to him in there on the park bench.
Yeah.
I'm just filling in the spots. I mean,
I just want to make sure that we're remembering things as best we can, myself included.
In some ways, very similar. In some ways, very, very different world.
Mm.
Yeah, it was strange. There was a lot of there was some weird differences. MLO was the leader of the stewards. Alice was in that world. She seemed to be like a head scientist or a lead scientist of some sort.
You hear Finalis just like without thinking, just go, "Oh, good for me."
That's never not going to be creepy.
Yeah.
It's not her fault.
I know.
It's creepy.
It's weird, and she'd been some sort of relationship with Query.
Oh.
It certainly seemed
That
that way.
seem that way. Yeah.
And I was how did Query fare from I guess he just pauses and would say procedure.
I'd like a bit of sigh, because I mean,
Like,
lobotomizing.
like CC lets out a very exaggerated sigh as well. Like he's deflating.
He's
Look, let me put it this way.
unfortunately
I was going to ask you to look into it.
he's in a coma.
Oh, okay.
You get a text message, by the way, like how it says, "I want immunity."
Don't worry, I don't think even legally exists.
You can see like immediately, like CC's just like deep thought.
It's rather unfortunate, but
I was
that's pretty much the whole story.
thinking that perhaps you might be able to. I think if there is something left of it in there, perhaps you can assist him. I'm not sure exactly how, but
Okay, I can.
I think using a Bone Sage's power was perhaps not the. It wasn't the best tool, but it was the one we had available.
Hmm.
Just hear Alice say, "Hammers and scalpels."
Well, I suppose I can try and have a look. I think Nerve's
And if
Nerve. I think Zig says that quite nervously.
Nerve
Says that quite
Nerve.
ziggily.
Nerve would be a great like Isoki name.
It would.
Yeah.
And if you are able to do something there, if, like I say, I'm concerned about. I think it might benefit us to contact Jackass before she speaks from whatever. Her condition seems not dissimilar from Miri's. Sorry, this is probably a lot to throw at you.
Yeah, like I think as well from like a description point of view, I don't know if you want to like give Zig this much detail or not, but if Zig eventually goes and looks at like that and he knows anything about Shakos's condition, the difference between the two was like Shakos seemed to have like no like mind with her as the readings they were getting, like a lack of readings, whereas Quay's was like intermittent, like there was and there wasn't, there was and there wasn't. And when there was nothing, it was identical to like Shakos's readings.
Okay, I'll say something to that effect.
Like, just if it matters, like if you do,
I think it will, because I think there's actually something worth mentioning in there as well that's related that I hadn't. Query's readings have been inconsistent. We've not always been able to detect anyone in there, but with Shakos, it appeared there was no one in there. But I know what the night I was able to gather, that's not the case. She looked in. She was able to find something. I know that Zenaida is extremely powerful. But her powers are not the same as yours. I've seen some of the things she can do. We all have, and she is. I've heard from an independent source, very powerful. Look, but she, just because. I'm just trying to say, just because she can't get much information doesn't mean you can't. You seem to have done things that she cannot. I think she has a lot of raw power. I guess it's a similar situation to Sindel in that regard, but it's not necessarily. When it comes to entering minds, she doesn't maybe have the finesse that you do. I mean, maybe finesse is the wrong word.
I was gonna say, but
but you do seem to have you do seem to have a talent.
On the plus side, this Alice can't say any sassy comments, so
That's true. I did
Yeah.
not kill this Alice,
yeah.
so we're good.
That's a weird
Okay.
phrase, isn't it? I did not kill this
Yeah.
Alice. Thanks, Clinton.
Is Query on this?
He's on this ship,
Here?
yeah.
Like, he's on
Yeah.
this ship. Okay.
Yeah, he's actually in the mid bay, of all places.
I suppose. Let's see. Well, I guess I have to try, don't I? Like,
Eh.
I mean, you don't have to, but
well, can't get any worse.
Cece just looks up awkwardly. I think the impression there is Cece definitely thinks it could get worse.
Right. Yeah. Sorry about that.
The other thing you missed was Cece
Well,
looked
I mean-
awkward at that and assumed it could get worse, yeah.
Yeah, I had to say it, didn't I?
Mhm.
It's the law.
Yep.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think it's a good. Just nod and say, no, I'll definitely try something. And then I think he's just going to kind of hope that something comes to him in the next.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, Callum, for your like understanding, like Zig, as written, would be like an 8, maybe a 9, but probably an 8 on the Bester scale for psychic power.
Okay.
Right.
Let's what's that? 1 to
1 to 12. Yep, so 1 to 12.
Oh yeah, no, you've done it in the chat.
Yeah, covered it for you. See, and Snyder was rated like somewhere between like 10 or 11, which is quite rare. Obviously,
Yeah,
we know what
yeah,
your
that's
psychic
fine.
power has done, though, which probably puts
Mm.
you at the 12 on those occasions.
Yeah, I think. But yeah, I think that's like maybe out of just like pure raw, like like tamed psionic power,
Mhm.
sure. But being able to tap that is not actually.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, that's how I would think of it anyway.
Yeah.
And if anything, Ziggs would try desperately to not, to always be trying to rein it in and keep it
Mhm.
under control. So yeah,
I think as everybody's looking at each other, and obviously Zig's like, can't get any worse, can it? I think Alice will then just say, I can show you the way if you like.
please.
So like she puts like her hand out for you to take her hand.
Zig does.
Yeah, and it goes through the hologram, obviously.
Yep.
And she goes, oh yeah, this way. And then she's like, shrugs that off very quickly and like heads that way. And then she stops and goes, oh yeah, like I'm okay to just leave, right? She looks at you, Zora.
Nod.
Good. Okay. And just turns back and smiles at you and goes, let's go.
all right.
Okay.
Good luck, Zig.
Zig just kind of
CC gives you like a
gives
thumbs
wee
up.
nod to the captain and Lyko, and then thumbs up for CC as well.
Thumbs up.
Still riding on the shoulders of Weird before they leave to go do nonsense. Yep.
So we lost for a quick lift with Sindel. Where's the ship go?
I mean, Zig's left the room as well. Like Zig is also a teleporter, by the way.
Yeah.
I know, but I wanted to go to specifically what's his face back. I don't know if we could go there, right? Because he's on a ship in the middle of nowhere. Zig do that?
Hold on. Let me
So,
see what the
should
description is.
Zig do that is a better question. Also, when do you want to arrive? While it's still being built, you know, and it's destroyed.
Okay, right. Unless it counts as a planet, then no. I can't just go there.
Okay.
You probably don't want to
or
like
unless
target the
one of
diaspora
our-
as a planet, so
Yeah. One of our mind buddies are there. I can go there too.
you've
but
got no mind
that's-
buddies currently though.
No mind buddies. That's right.
Assuming the ship's in the same place as well, which isn't exactly likely, right?
Like
Okay,
ever, right? If we're going to get nitty gritty about spatial positioning, it's never going to be in the same position. It's solar systems hurtling through like the fucking universe, right? So, just if we're being that, you know, spatial. But yes.
Yeah. I guess my question still stands then. Where should the ship go? Because I don't think we can teleport to him right now without Cindy. Assuming he's on the line in
Well,
the sand or whatever it was called. I think
That
that's
is
what
no
it's called.
reason we can't wait a little while for Zig. Get ready. Sure, we can find something to busy ourselves with. I think perhaps, I know I'm not a tech guy, but it maybe wouldn't hurt for me to take a look over the ship, considering recently had guests.
It doesn't seem like a bad idea.
I don't
Make
think
sh-
they're likely to have left in it. Whatever. I don't think they need, but
Cece just starts patting the sides of Weird's face. So then we still have a Weird with
okay.
us.
Sorry, I am here.
Getting patted.
Yeah, Cece's patting the side of your face based on what Lyko just said about going over the ship to make sure the Vesk didn't do anything to it.
I suppose could lend a hand on that whilst we're. Do you have a preference, CC? Maybe one head with a full set of arms should focus on each task rather than splitting each head.
He starts to like try and cover your mouth and just gives Lyko a thumbs up.
I give him a thumbs up back.
And just nods like erratically as if the deal is done. It's too late. We get that job too.
I assume it's fine.
Yeah. Cece just enjoys the excuse to run over the ship. Let's face it, tear it apart.
Little monster.
I mean, if anything, he's being a very effective crew member, right? That's 2 jobs he's taken on.
Gremlin. So he is. A gremlin.
Yeah, he is. He knows it.
Magwar.
Yep. You open a cupboard,
Nah,
it's
he's
like
a-
a sentient
he's a
fucking
natural gremlin.
appliance.
An actual gremlin. He's been fed after midnight many a times.
Yep. I mean, he had a hamburger walking into this meeting. Like, oh dear. Right. So, Lyko, you've kind of been availed of that job. If you have something else you want to suggest you do. Yeah.
Okay.
You could also at
actually,
any
what else
point
would
you
like
could
to
help
do?
them with anything they're doing. I'm not trying.
I
to
could. I'm
steal
happy
scenes
to help
from you.
anyone in
It's
any
just-
way I can.
That's 100% something CC would love to have done. So that's why I had him like volunteer. Yeah. Just depends what else you want to do.
I suppose you could use this term for just sort of general pep and maybe a bit of research of my own.
Don't you two have a hit list you're growing together? The captain, Lyko.
I am a policeman, a space policeman, not an assassin.
Hide sniper rifle.
What you do at night is go nae steward business or something like that.
Give yourself a sabbatical. Yeah.
I tell you what, I sort of thought that I could firstly go looking for Sindel and just confirm he's not in the ship, which I
Yeah.
could probably just ask computer, but although who knows if we trusted when it comes to him. secondly do maybe some reading on the Bone Sages.
Yeah. What was Zora's plan?
What can Zora do? I don't know. Go fucking
I was gonna say,
strap a bomb to a like
why it's always
ship or
bomb.
something.
Right, so what is the next big thing you guys need to achieve? Right? Think about that. What is the next big thing?
Well, it's either go to Baba, go to Triaxis.
Okay, and what would you like to make that
Go
process?
stomp Matva.
Right? And what do
This
you need
moment.
in any of those instances? What would you need?
A bomb. We need a virus bomb. We need a bomb for Matva, and we need probably a bomb for Babak as well. Like fuck it, and like why not? Like
Okay, all right. So that's a lot of bombs. Okay.
A word bomb for Babak.
Remember, there is something on Versus that is just waiting on you, Zora. Just in case.
Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah,
I know. I know the shit. Just sitting there waiting.
Just in case you forgot about it. I'm not saying it's needed. It's just an asset you have access to. Again. But yeah. Besides that, anything else that you want to do? Because obviously, like, you might want to pick one target and focus on them. Yeah. So, well, Thanaida, assuming she doesn't leave in the time you take to travel there, you could obviously message her and ask her to stay there, because remember, she was going to stay there for Lyco's benefit and then go to Abalon. That's what Lyco knows about Thanaida. So,
well, I'll do that. I'll message Thanaida and ask her to stay in Versus if she's still there, and we'll be there soon, I suppose, and we'll just go to Versus for now, because fuck it.
Yeah, you can set the course for that if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Gonna give me a piloting roll, or are you gonna get Finalis to do it?
No, I'm going to do Finalis today. It'll be silly, man. Fucking me piloting this shit.
Do you wanna give me a d6 roll then for how many days it takes to get there?
Yes. See here.
Do you know, I still don't even know if we're doing this right, like the whole space travel thing, but I quite like what we've been doing, so yay, it's pretty good.
Hours, man.
I was gonna say it's 12 hours. It's good.
Hey.
It's alright. Nicely done. So, you can compose your message to Thanaida.
Just be, can you wait in the Versus vicinity, like, for time being? We'll be there in like 12 hours.
Sure. Are you want to encode this message in somewhere or just send it as is?
I'll be in some fucking stupid vacation fucking code shite talk, right? Because why not, right? Fucking it was...
Okay, well, you pick a skill and we'll see if it's bullshit or not. So what skill do you want to pick for obfuscating this message?
I don't know.
Disguise is a good one, right? Diplomacy? You know what, like, if you're going to jargon it up, I'll give you diplomacy if you want to jargon it all, right? You could hide a message within a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Remember the way Matva sent you that message with like the fucking almost like the first, basically the Vesk Constitution, right? And she highlighted
that. Even why encode it? Probably not actually, right?
Well, do you mind if anybody knows that you're going to be in Versus in 12 hours? Is that...
Probably, because then fucking Matva will show up, but I'm taking control of this investigation. But fucking...
What was that called? Sorry?
It's always in code. Always encrypt. Always
encode.
Require a code breaker ring.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you want to encode it in Zora? Do you want to do it through, say, bluff, disguise, diplomacy? I'll give you if you're going to just jargon it. You just need to mind she has to translate it.
Jargon.
Cool.
What do you mean by jargon it?
Like the idea that you're hiding your message in, you know, I don't know, like a legal document that you send her, right?
Yes. Okay. I don't know if I would do that. Zora would do that.
Zora was a diplomat. Zora was a diplomat. I know it was like a very like honorary title for the most part, but
it was. But what the fuck would I write? Like
you don't need to know it's Nico. We just know that Zora knows what to write.
Yeah, I don't know if I fucking know. Well, Zora needs to know. Nico needs to know, so Zora can write it.
To Tanida, CEO of whatever that company's called, because I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, fucking...
Like, I'd like to invoice
yeah.
you for those 12 hours of work that you did for us on Versus. Right? What's wrong with that?
Yes, sure, why not? I'll go with something like that. Yeah,
This is the definition of non-adversarial GM.
we'll be coming for like a thingy inspection, like a facility inspection or something, right? For your upcoming business, yada yada. Like,
Sure. A stakeholder inspection.
yes. Yes. I'll click a button.
Okay.
Point.
Okay.
Better to probably add like a D6 on it, to be honest.
Feel free to.
There we go.
Nice. Okay. 47. Yeah, so you send the message off. And yeah, then you jump into drift.
Mm.
Cool. So yeah, everybody feels the shift into drift. And then, yeah, we focus on Zig for the moment. Zig. Alice leads you up to the med bay. The door opens and like she takes like a almost like a full deep breath. And then like the doors open and then the Madvin like turns and goes, "Oh, we're back."
Ah, yes.
Hello.
Zig thinking to himself, forgetting that Demadvin existed. Must remember Demadvin's here.
It's okay, Zora does it all the time.
How's it been? How's it going?
What specifically is going?
I think Zig would kind of awkwardly laugh and say, "Well, I guess we are looking around
Like,
the general ship just after the
Yeah, the shift into drift.
Yeah.
I like to believe that the shift happens exactly at that moment where she asked that question, and you go, "Well, it looks like we are." Like the Saved by the Bell style answer.
Yeah.
And then she says, "Yeah, your friends put him in a comatose state, so I figured I may as well just hang about here in case I'm next." Ha.
Zig really awkwardly smiles at that, like, yeah, not great. And I guess Zig would just head over to Query and say, "I'm going to try and see if I can do anything."
Yeah, I'm gonna leave. And then she just gets up and leaves. And like at the door she goes, "Try not to do, any worse than your friends." And she leaves and the door like swishes shut.
Squeamish, isn't she?
I don't know if it's squeamish or just the tone's probably more, I want to say, like done, sassy, like fed up, not impressed that somebody's put into a coma. Yeah, I wouldn't have said she came across as squeamish. More just that she doesn't want to be in the room. Yeah, like I guess, like I suppose if you're looking at it from a Vesk point of view, like the idea that but then the Vesk would rather kill you honorably in combat, not leave you in a comatose state, right?
Sure.
So yeah, it's kind of like undignified, to them. So yeah, like she leaves and then like when that happens and the door closes, Alice looks awkward as if trying to like stop the door from closing, and then she just like moves her hologram inside the room, and then like goes whew, as if she just dodged being slammed in the door.
Okay.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I guess So here's what I'm thinking. Because this is good. Let's face it, Zig doesn't exactly know what to do.
Yeah. But Alice doesn't know that, so she's eager to hear what it is.
Yeah. So I think Zig is going to try and just act confidently, mostly to kind of put himself at ease.
Roll bluff.
Fake it till you make it, yeah.
Fake it till you make it. And I think, because initially I was like, all right, he'll just mind link, but that's dumping information in somewhere probably doesn't gleam too much about if their brain is there or if their mind is there.
Yeah. I suppose it would let you know if there was something to dump into, though, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I was thinking, I'm reading my character sheet.
Wow. What the fuck?
So
you still have those?
Yeah. Of casting Mind Probe.
Ooh.
Mind Probe.
Sounds like the perfect ability to cast.
Yeah. To probe the mind.
Where is my mind?
Other songs are available.
Way out in the water.
Other bands by Frank Black are available.
My version was the Pixies, actually.
Yeah, Frank Black is
Yeah, okay, I didn't know that.
My joke made sense.
Good, I'm glad we're on the same page. I just didn't know the band members.
Francis Black, I think, is his name, isn't it? Because he's Black Francis. He also.
I think we established. I definitely don't know. And now I know.
I'm googling it now. I'll get back to you.
Cool. Please continue.
Frank Black or Black Francis, but that's not his real name. He's Charles Thompson IV. Lamau.
So yeah, I'll post that in the chat.
Please do. Okay. So, you gain access to the target's memories and knowledge, and you can pry the information you want from them involuntarily. You can attempt to learn the answer to one question of your choice per round. After each question, the target can attempt a will saving throw to end the spell. If it fails, the creature can attempt a bluff check, with a DC equal to 11 plus your sense motive. If it fails its bluff check, you gain the answer you desire. If it succeeds, you gain no information. If it succeeds by 5 or more, answers however it chooses, and you can believe if that's the wrong one or not. Your questions are purely telepathic inquiries, and the answers to those questions are imparted directly into your mind. You and the target don't need to speak the same language, though less intelligent creatures may yield only appropriate sensory images in your answers. That's cool that it doesn't just stop you from like lower intellect creatures. Yeah. It gives you like their impressions, I guess. That's cool.
What horse thing?
I'll also mark that off. And I guess, like, I don't know what level of spell that is for. I guess he'd just be kind of putting out there as just. I think the question would be something really dumb, like, "Are you there?"
Okay. Yeah.
Because I guess that's the point at this point, to try and glean if the mind is there. Because as like I was saying, he's intermittently there and not.
Yeah, like can you, based on like the readings, right? Can I ask you a question? This isn't loaded in any way. I'm just really interested in what Zig would decide to do in this situation. Are you gonna cast it when there's no signs or when there are signs?
I mean, ideally he'd do it both, but we'd I guess with signs first and see what happens.
Okay, cool.
That's the.
And like before you do this thing, Alice says, "How will I know if it's gone wrong or right?"
If it's gone right, I will be able to talk to you after.
Okay, and if you don't talk to me, I should tell the others.
Yeah, give me, I guess, if you don't hear from me in like 5 minutes, worry.
Like immediately starts like a holographic timer. Okay.
I think Zig just exhales like quite slowly, and then takes like a deep breath, and then
like waits for the pulse of the brain activity to flare up, and then in you go. Yeah, so I need you to make a will save.
That's fine.
More like a won't save. Rah!
Oh, now you've said it. Your
will's pretty good from what I remember. Okay, perfect.
I rolled a 2.
So
that is pretty good then.
You get flashbacks to Castroval on the island, in the castle ruins, in that corridor, near that puddle.
Oh god, okay.
Yeah. You start to get flashbacks to that, and it's the drowning sensation, not like the ghost or anything like that. It's just the drowning sensation. Yeah, no, right. That was awful. It's like, I wonder why we never went back there. It was a silly place, with telepathic dinosaurs and puddle
It's
ghosts.
only a model.
Dead dragons in the basement, and androids upgrading themselves through existential corridors. So yeah, it was a silly place. But,
and drowning puddles.
Yeah.
Drowning pools.
Yeah, that'll do. Yep, that'll do.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Oh dear.
Let the
Yep.
bodies hit the floor.
Good one. So, yeah, like you get that sensation of drowning again. Like you maybe like start clutching at your throat and whatever, and then you realize like when you're moving your hands to get to your throat, like they feel like they're underwater.
Right. Okay.
When
Yeah.
you're swimming, and there's like light coming from above you, clearly like diffused through water.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
I guess Zig's like would probably just be in like a reactive mode, so we'd probably be trying to swim up.
Yeah, and like you do, like you reach the surface and like you kind of like pour like through the I say pour through, that's a terrible phrase, but you break through the surface of the water, and kind of like get kind of purchase on like looks like white grass. Yeah, cough up a little bit the water that you may have swallowed, or at least the liquid that you may have swallowed, and then you then hear, you're visiting, and it's Cleary's voice. And you look over, and like as the room comes into view, it seems like you're in a park with like a white path, white grass, a white tree, a white bench, and Cleary's just sitting on the bench.
I guess Zig would go and sit next to him.
It's like, well, like as you're kind of crawling out, he does say like, "Do you need a hand getting out?"
You know what? Yeah, I think Zig will go like, "Oh, please, yeah."
Kind of gets up
and kind of like raise a hand up and.
Yeah, and like he walks over to the kind of pond and pulls you out.
And just kind of.
He looks at you and he looks at the pond, and it's like kind of like milky, kind of liquid. You just kind of come out of. And he just looks back at you and goes, "Huh." And he turns and says, "Well, how can I help you?" And you can see like on the kind of it's as if he's sitting in a part of a park, right? As I've described before a few times to Zig. Because that looks very much like the pool you were pulled into when you were in the Lore Spire Citadel. You're seeing like what looks like Absalom, but like half destroyed, as if like it's being like deconstructed, like the the server's not big enough to hold the whole file or something, right?
Oh right, yeah.
And you've got like a limit to what's there, but it definitely looks like the main plaza, which has the big park and stuff in the middle of Absalom. But you're only seeing like almost like a kind of Hollywood set style of like broken down buildings and stuff where there's nothing behind it. It does kind of go out into like a black nothingness. Everything else is this kind of stark white, except Creary with his violet skin and his metallic beard, and then yourself. He sits on the bench. He just pats the side of it, like, well, may as well have a seat.
Zig goes over, he sits down next to Curry. And he just kind of takes inquiry. Does he seem like just to kind of see?
Like he's sitting like relative, like not slouched, but he's quite comfy on the bench, and he's got like his arm over the back of it. Very, very relaxed looking, or somebody that's given up, right?
Yeah.
But he does just seem to be like slowly looking around at the place, like fall apart.
So,
yeah, he just laughs at that. Doesn't look at you though, he's just laughing at that. He like closes his eyes, shakes his head a little bit. He goes, "Yep, just go for it."
Where are we?
He just smirks, a bit of a kind of shit-eating grin about him. He goes, We don't really have time for small talk.
Probably not. How would you feel about kind of coming back?
Where?
Oh, just to like not here.
He laughs at that and goes, "Yeah, I don't think that'll be an issue soon." He looks around, like like puts like a knee up on the bench and looks behind the bench and stuff, and just like takes like a 360 in, and then sits back down, and then like half turns his body so he's like facing you, and he's like,
mm-hmm.
"So where else would you suggest? Any sweet vacation spots or sun traps?"
I guess I don't know. Back to. I'm here to wake you up.
I didn't realize I was asleep.
Yeah. My understanding is you had a bone sage in your brain.
Not just a bone sage. I had the whole gang.
Ah, yes.
Minus you,
Okay,
though.
you had everyone.
Yeah.
Minus me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was your invitation lost in the mail, or?
I was elsewhere.
Me too.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to undo and rectify as much of what happened as I can.
Oh, you can fix this, can you? He like gestures vaguely at the mess.
Well, I think he kind of leaves it like that for a good second, and then says, "Somebody's got to."
He gives you like a defeated smile. It doesn't last too long on his face, and he says, "I don't think so. Not this time." And he kind of looks over just at everything slowly kind of like decaying, and like maybe like most of the buildings are gone by this point. It slowly seems to be like destroying the park now. Was yours as pretty as this?
I think Zig kind of just looks at him, kind of not understanding the question, and then yeah, no, I think he just gives him that kind of look.
Your station, and he gestures vaguely around him. Like, there's like, big like shards of the dome that are like falling in, but like they're disintegrating before they get to you and stuff like that. And he's like, these, like this place, no. The others didn't seem too surprised by the layout, so I assumed it was similar.
Less broken, I guess.
Are you sure?
Nowadays.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, like, are you sure about that?
I don't know.
That's what Query is saying though. Like, are you sure about that?
Yeah. I think Zig would probably say, don't know.
So you didn't spend much time in the station then?
Not as much as I could have, I guess.
He just laughs. He just laughs again at that. He shakes his head a bit and goes, "You're bad at this. You know that."
I think Zig just gives a smile and a nod.
He kind of like leans into like his jacket and pulls out like a cigarette. Just like has it in his mouth, and he offers you one.
Zig just puts up his hand and no thanks.
He looks around and goes, "I don't think you can get any ill effects in here."
It's a principled dad.
I think with that Zig goes, why not? And then I guess takes it.
Mm-hmm. Like as soon as you like take it out of the packet, you hear like the little kind of electronic like hiss as if it's clicking on. And then he just like smirks at that and like takes a big draw of his cigarette, and then he like looks around and he's like exhales. He says, "This is my favourite spot. It's where I took my lunch." He just kind of nods to himself. And he turns like there and he says, "That was my office up there." He points to like nothingness now. It's like it's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, looks at you.
I don't know. I feel like I need to like ask him something really important, and I can't think of.
You got a team, remember, right?
I do have a team.
You got a whole team here. Did I ask him?
Well, I'm not sure if there's anything you can do to help him, but
yeah, I don't think there is.
So if you're convinced of that, then what do you want to know about his world? Like, there must be surely something about him, yourself, Absalom. You know that I've sort of had a shot at asking questions. Captain has, it's doesn't necessarily have to be. Let me put it this way. I think that Ryan will be able to find an interesting answer for a lot of questions. For a universe that no longer exists and we can't go to, so any lore could never really have to worry about being contradicted.
In campaign 2 is you guys trying to stop that universe from ending, right? That's what we agreed.
I just think it could be interesting because of what potential character insights it might give us about this universe as well, because there does seem to be, it's not a mirror universe, but there does seem to be a relationship there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
Oh, will you? So that wasn't you. That was this Rapscallion.
Reptilian?
Yeah, I think maybe, seeing this sort of like it does seem like a lost cause.
He seems very resigned, right? He seems very resigned.
And if he seemed more up for like actually giving something a bash, then maybe it would seem a bit less doom and gloom.
I mean, to be fair though, right? Assuming he has been conscious and he isn't just conscious because of your spell, right? Because we don't know. He's probably just been in here watching his fucking existence decay away again.
Yeah.
And you've turned up and gone, "I'm here to fix it. I don't know what I'm doing though." So you've not really given him anything to hope for, right?
That's true. Let's see. Hold on, I'm just gonna read retrocognition just to see.
This is when you slide the Radiant Supreme Zig over to Bone Sage Zig.
Death of mice, or sorry, death of rats, wasn't it? Is it mice or rats?
I don't know. Actually,
I love the bit where he speaks to his boss. The Death of Worlds, was it Azrael? I think he's called. And his line of dialogue's just yes. It takes up the entire page. Oh,
it's
God
good.
Bless Terry Pratchett. He was great.
What a mind, honestly.
Rip in peace.
Yep.
You absolute legend. No, he really was. He had a wonderful turn of phrase. He was just such a funny and humane man, and it is a terrible loss.
Like, he's one of the people that you can see his life experiences in his writing very obviously. Like,
I think for me what just comes across him is just his obvious humanity. He's full of sort of joy and empathy, and I know it's not exactly high art, but I come away from a Terry Pratchett book with a sort of... I feel better about people and life when I read Terry Pratchett. Most of the things that I willingly subject myself to make me feel worse about those things.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad you read Terra Pratchett, because it's a very good influence on you.
Not as often as I should, perhaps.
I feel that way about everybody though, right? Everybody should read more Terra Pratchett. Right, so Zig, did I buy you enough time to come up with something?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, no, I think Zig's going to kind of just be there with him,
Yeah.
and just let this moment not be, like just completely alone and like just because like I guess the first time, there would have been that huge sense of loneliness, as your universe, comes apart. So I think Zig would just like kind of look to him and just say, "It must have really hurt the first time."
He laughs. He goes, "Funny story. I wasn't here."
Oh,
I just figured this
right.
was nicer surroundings, you know?
Hmm.
Problem is, it's trying to remember all the details as he looks around. Like he stares at like the tree, and like it just like fades away as well.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, some things are easy to remember. And like if he looks again, like as if he's like really concentrating, like the tree comes back, but it's like slightly different.
Yeah. Could I I guess point at areas and either point out similarities and differences and stuff?
You
Like
mean
that's
between
where,
your version of it?
yeah.
Or yeah?
Like if I see something that's like super like recognizable, I'll be like, oh well, that's where.
There isn't much left though. Like it's pretty much just the park, right?
Yeah.
And that's like slowly going away. And there's not many details beyond like the path that runs through that would go to this bench and past the tree. That's like the tree and the pond are near each other, like at opposite sides of the path, and then the bench is at the other end of that. So yeah, like it's
Okay.
It's like clearly like he's struggling to hold what you're seeing here, right?
Yeah. Is there any way to yeah, is there any way that I could attempt to assist him and add like I guess imagery and like or at least I don't know some sort of benefit to him to continue to hold it just a little longer?
Can you mind meld in the mind?
I don't know.
You mean you could mind link ideas across to him, right?
Yeah.
What you want to put across?
That's great.
I guess what I would do is
it's literally a device that lets him psychically download information to somebody else's mind. Though it's exactly what he's asking for. Yeah.
It's good shit.
I think he's just going to like have like his whole image of the I suppose the park, as much of it as he can remember from his universe.
Yeah.
And I guess like as much of the greater park, but maybe in less detail further out. But if there was like like distance, like the skyline in the distance, maybe just pasting a backdrop there, that sort of thing.
This is why we're friends, by the way, Colin. Because my immediate thought before I saw Dark Knight Rises was, yes, Batman Begins. Yeah, so like you do that, and then like like your version, like what you remember of like the. I assume you want like the park, the plaza, the buildings that surrounded it on like the promenade.
Yeah.
They all come in like as vibrant color as you remember them to be, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a very stark contrast to like the white scape that you're seeing. And like he blinks a couple of times and like rubs his eyes a bit and like looks at you and says, Is that you?
Zig nods. I mean, as I remember it, so it might not be.
And he kind of looks around and
Might
is
not
like,
be what you're used to.
oh, is this how you've seen it?
Yes.
Huh. He looks a wee bit humbled in that like moment. He kind of looks around, like basically trying to like drink in everything, basically. Visually, and then he looks at you and says, "The colors are nice."
The lighting always appealed to me here.
Yeah, he like sits back down, but he's clearly like a bit antsy, so he keeps like looking around as if like still like taking in stuff, like he's seeing it for the first time, which technically he is, right? This is your version.
Yeah.
And then, like, as he's like staring at stuff, it kind of like, you know, you can obviously he's talking to you, but like he's not like looking at you or anything. He's too busy like looking around, and he's like, "I'm colorblind, by the way."
I think Zig just lets out a huge laugh.
I'm like, he turns around and gives you like a funny look when you do that. Like, I didn't realize that was funny.
No, it just caught me off guard.
So did the colors. It looks around again. So what now? You stay in here till you go?
I mean, I'd quite like to go back, but I'd also quite like you to come back with me.
What am I going back to?
Honestly, I don't know.
What about dishonestly? He gives you a smirk.
Perhaps a chance to save one universe where yours failed. I guess that's not dishonest, but
Yeah, like
I think he says that after as well. I was like, well, I guess that's not really dishonest.
I think he like puts like a hand on like your head, like as if he was gonna ruffle it, but he doesn't. He goes, maybe hopeful rather than dishonest.
Yeah.
And he sits back down and he's looking at, like the greenery of the park, the colour of the water. And he sits down and he's like, this is a lie though. And he just looks around and goes, this isn't what I remember. I'm not even sure if what I saw before is what I remember. It's all I've got left, and there's nothing for me in your world. I'm not looking for redemption. It's like, I shouldn't have been in your world. And, like, he stands up and like puts his hand out and says, "Come on, let's go. I'll show you."
Oh yeah, I guess he'll take it and.
Yeah, and like as soon as like you touch his hand and like jump off the bench, because I just believe that Six Legs didn't touch the ground, obviously, when you're on the bench.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, and
if it's a normal-sized bench, then no.
There probably are like varying styles of benches for all the different races, but he was definitely sat on like a normal humanoid one for him. And then yeah, like as soon as you like hop on the ground, like your feet are stinging. It's more difficult to breathe. You're back to this like whitescape. All the colours gone immediately. You've been here before. This is Octurne.
Ah.
Like that horrible burning in the throat.
Yeah. Don't like that. Do not like Octurne.
There's like a smell of like, burnt metal as well. You can like see like as it's like almost like fading into view as if like the kind of the milkscape, as it were, is like shaping the crashed ship wreckage. And like he starts like he lets go of your hand and he starts walking forward and he's like, well, come on.
I think Zig kind of I don't want to say reluctantly, but like kind of, I guess, painfully continues on. And
yeah, and like he's walked for a bit through like some kind of like winding, almost like it's like the formations of the land's weird and kind of warped here, and it's got like some strange like flora and such, if you can even call it that by this point. It definitely is the definitive alien world vibes you're getting. And as you walk a bit, you end up in like a kind of platform clearing-y type thing. Again, everything's all this kind of whitescape, so it's hard to like tell most textures apart. And then you can see a figure in what looks like a fairly elaborate ritual underway. He says, "Recognize anyone?" And he points all the way across like a kind of like chasm towards this big kind of central, like clearly, as I said, like a big ritual site as well. Like the formation definitely feel very like you know, ancient civilization vibes to the place. And he points, and yeah, like, do you want to give me a wee perception roll?
sure. Badoop.
It looks like Sindile.
Oh.
Yeah, like the center of
I
this
think he
big
just
ritual.
I think like uncontrollably, like he just goes Sindile. Without really thinking that's.
He goes, yeah, we didn't have a name for him. And he says, "You might wanna." He looks around like kind of awkwardly, goes, "Hold on to something," and he like looks around as if there's nothing really to hold on to. This next part is a bitch. And then like very quickly, like you're in front of like, you know, like fairly angry, screaming, crazy OP Sindale, as you probably never want to see him. There's a very quick flash of everything getting like destroyed, like all the land is like, you know, cascadingly exploding towards you and everything. Sindale seems furious, like there's a blast of white light that comes from Sindale. Cray looks at you and just shrugs as he's torn apart. As like the entire place tears apart, and then you're smacked back into like the floor of the lab.
I think Zig just does like a huge gasp of as he like, I guess slowly kind of tries to pick himself up off the floor.
Yeah. And then you've got like Alice looking at you. Going, "Do I go get them, or are you okay?"
I'm okay.
Okay, that counts as speech. Good enough. I would offer you a hand up, but
yeah, this is fine. It's fine. And then I guess he kind of stands up and then I guess looks over to Query and to just checks to see if there's any brain signal left.
yeah, like you wait for like the intervals, and no, there doesn't seem to be anything.
Yeah, that figures.
And Alice goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
where did the other one go?"
Elsewhere.
Okay. She just looks like satisfied with that answer.
Yeah.
So
I guess
can I just ask, the brain activity is gone, but is he technically alive?
Like you'd need to perhaps maybe go see.
Okay.
Yeah, Zig
Yeah,
hasn't asked that.
no, yeah. I think Zig was just gonna, I guess, in the process of kind of making him look a bit more comfortable in the bed, and then like checking to see if there is any life signs whatsoever while he does that.
Yeah, you doing this through the tech in the room, or are you doing this just with your generic medicine skills?
I'll do it with generic medicine.
Yeah, give me a roll.
He says.
I accidentally irradiated him. Yeah, like there is still like the body still seems to be functioning, but that may or may not be part of like, you know, whatever's hooked up to him to keep him, you know,
Yeah.
stable, I guess is a
Mhm.
reasonable word. Or at least comfortable, you know, that he was in when he was in his coma. But yeah, it does seem like the body is functioning, but there is no brain activity.
Okay.
Just for Lyco's question. Or Colin's, I should say.
Cool.
Um,
Because that may be pertinent to the
yeah.
handover.
And she didn't really state what condition she wanted them in, to be honest. So you've got wiggle room.
You gotta
That's
watch
true,
her.
there is that.
I did not say I would deliver him.
I
Not
guess,
brain dead. Brain alive. It's a Peter Jackson film.
I think Zig will like open comms everyone on the ship. Just yeah. Query's no longer there. He's alive. Well, physically, but he's there's nothing there.
Was anything that you could have done, or was it just a byproduct of what we done?
Honestly, I can't say for certain. I don't think there was much that could be done, but he also his mind seemed quite resigned to
Rhyme.
yes. Yeah, his mind seemed resigned to accept to him anyway the inevitable.
Well, you tried, kid.
And then I think Zig just puts the comms away and just, I guess, goes to get like a drink of water and kind of actually like sit and process for a bit.
Yep. I assume we don't get like muffled pocket noises as you walk towards the mess hall or something. I assume that you did shut off the comm.
Nah, you get he just throws it in his pocket. He's not like he's too used to mind comms.
Yeah. And yeah, you head to the canteen, you get yourself like a glass of water, and you just, I guess, sit on one of the benches and just ponder.
Mull.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking tire.
Right. Who wants to go next? So we've got Weird up to stuff with CC. Let's deal with that. So Weird, what's step 1 in the plan?
I suppose we should immediately scan the whole ship for bugs.
Okay, yep. That'll probably take, like, if you want to go over the whole ship with CC, like, between the two of you, you could probably have that done, like maybe in, like, 10 hours, so you'll have, like, a couple to spare if there is anything before you, like, drop out adrift.
Yep.
But that is being thorough, right? So that is being very damn thorough. Do you want to give me a engineering and computers, and we'll see how that goes, since that's generally what I ask you to do.
Just open this weird little character sheet thing.
This optional extra to the game.
Did have it open, but my computer crashed.
No.
Computer.
Luckily, my Discord was running it on a different computer.
Nice.
Ah, smart.
I always liked the Batman way of saying it. Computer. Nice.
2-1. Nice.
Yep.
That's not bad.
That's the roll.
I'll do. Okay, so I think what happens here is CC helps incredibly with the computer's role, to the point where, like, within seconds between the two of you, you actually find out very quickly that the electronics of the ship still seem intact from how they've been left. It is very unlikely the Vesk have somebody more capable than your combined skills in computers, right? Given what we know CC is capable of alone, never mind you. Yeah. However, when it comes to the engineering side of things, you start doing everything methodically, and CC just clearly is inventorying things for his own projects.
Focused. Perfect.
So like while you're taking a panel off to like, check, whatever components are inside, he's taking away the things you're unhooking and like putting them in like a pile marked, new mech. So yeah.
I should probably take notes of those to be able to put them back.
Yeah.
He inevitably stick with them.
So yeah, he definitely is more of a hindrance. That's maybe why it does take the full 10 hours instead of it being smoother, since you did so well with the computer side of it. So
yep.
Electronically, it seems fine. Physically is another story because CC is not helping. But it would be more obvious to find a bug if it's sitting in a pile of stuff, right, that he's catalogued for his own purposes.
True, he is being thorough.
But yeah, if he was left to this, you just might not have a ship left. So yeah, and hopefully Ivan doesn't get his hands on any of that stuff. Luckily, he has no hands, so because he's a cube. Yup.
Guys,
Yeah.
He has no mouth, he must scream.
Yes.
What is step 2 in the plan?
Step 2 in the plan is to turn to CC and ask when the last time was that he hacked the steward's databases.
Like, you get a message.
Okay.
It says, "I want immunity."
You know what? I'll respond to the message and say it has to be for something specific.
There's like ... and then just ... and then nothing in reply. And then like CC looks up at you, weird, and then like taps his foot a couple of times, and then just looks at you and says, like the comm system kind of blares up, with that kind of electronic voice that comes through it. And it says, "We could hack the steward network system." And he stares at you suspiciously to see how you react to obviously the audio file that was just clearly played, that was just built. Obviously he's staring at Weird's face, so it's not like he's going to get much when he's trying to read that.
Yeah, just focus on the words and just say, we could, as in we can. Do you have the easy access point?
You can see like some of his fingers are like tapping against each other, like anticipatory. And then he walks up to you, and then he like lifts your arm that has whatever arm has your comm on it. He lifts that up as much as he can with his 6 arms, so that you're staring at your comm. There's a message on it that just says, "Are you a cop?"
You know they don't have to tell you if they are cops.
He looks at your comm and then just looks at you like distraught, and then looks back at the comm and he starts tapping it as if read. It just says, "Are you a cop?"
No, I'm not a cop, and
he deletes the message on your comm, and then he just like taps you on like the shoulder as much as he can reach, and then he just gives you like a thumbs up and just nods conspiratorially.
Immunity is really effective if the main regime stays in place, but if Babak is committing treason, then you'd likely end up with immunity based on the reward of the victor. You know how when a revolution happens, the successful side never really faces trial? Immunity's kind of irrelevant at that stage.
CC just blinks, and then points at your comm again, and starts chirping at you. And there's nothing on it, like it just says message deleted, and it just starts chirping away. And then he says, like through the intercom system again, it comes through and says, "What should we frame him for?"
Well, let's see if there is anything first. Otherwise,
And like the intercom says, divide and conquer. You look, I create.
as long as I don't trip over your breadcrumbs.
Give me a head start.
Make sure you don't muddy the water too much in case there is something genuine there.
Do you want a head start?
Yes, I'll have a head start, and you can fill in the space behind me.
He puts like his hand up with like, 3 of his digits. You can have 3 hours head start. I have things to do. Also, good night, Siren.
Good night, Siren.
Right. 3 hours.
I got dipstick in.
You can tell, like, CC knows you don't need 3 hours to do this work, right?
Yep.
Like, he could do this in like an hour if he actually cared. But this is so he can go do something unsupervised for 3 hours, let's face it.
That's what I'm just
What's up,
balancing out.
What was that, Nico?
Hey, what's up, Ray?
I just sort of look at it and say, please don't take apart any essential systems.
He looks at you suspiciously when you say that. And then he says, like again through the intercom obviously, he goes, what's essential?
Life support, engines.
He starts like taking notes on his datapad.
Weapons.
He actually starts, he stops you and he starts tripping at that. And like his hands are like doing various gestures of like, clearly he doesn't agree.
Unless you turn the weapons into more useful weapons.
Just a thumbs up immediately and he just underlines something on his
Oh
datapad.
no, don't say that. Don't say that. What fucking ion cannons are going to turn into Spock Spock throwers, man.
But they'll be more useful.
Siege level spoons, yes. Oh dear. Yeah, so he takes his notes of whatever you tell him is essential. And then like, probably like before you've even finished the list fully, like he's already like wandering off to get started.
This will be fine.
Yeah. Yep. Right, do you want to give me I guess a computer roll to try and do some sleuthing on Babak, right?
Yep.
Remember, if you use the ship's computers, I think you do get like a +2 or 3? I can't remember what the ship gives you.
I can't remember exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's...
It's at least a +2, right? It's at least a +2. I might have a quick nose at it. Where the hell is this ship?
I'm trying to remember. I think there might be something about how it goes up from 1 to 10, but...
So, modifiers, any 2 checks per round and you get a +3. Computers in general have a +2. So, I mean...
So that'd be what, 55?
It'll be up 2, right? So
I thought you said up 3, any...
So, it says modifiers, right? So, +3 to any 2 checks per round, but computers are +2 and piling's -1. So,
okay.
To me that says that if you're using one of your +3s per round, and the fact that the computers are a +2 bonus, it just means the systems are obviously good enough to give you a +2 bonus by default. And if you're focusing the system resources, you're getting a +3. So I'd say that's a +5. It's obviously more important in combat when you can't all use that bonus, right?
But right now, I'm going to take all the energy away from the coffee machine.
Yeah.
While Lyco is halfway through making a coffee. Yeah, so that's a 57 on computers.
Yeah. So, Babak's record, then.
Okay.
Yes. You find absolutely nothing wrong with the record. Which, in and of itself, is a glaring problem. That means anything CC does to this is going to be noticed immediately.
Okay.
Right? Regardless of how good CC is, even if he makes it look like Babak made all the changes himself, it's gonna be noticed, right? Because this record is so immaculate. It looks like somebody sat and just like typed up the perfect resume, right? For
Yeah,
like
and it's
some.
not like it's been edited out.
No, like there's only obviously besides the new entry lines of the events that have happened since, right? Like whatever the record would in fact reflect of his career, like commendations and various things like that. Besides all the like the star dates that would be in there, and obviously if like with your thing you can cross reference whatever like the Vest computer has on hand for like the Galactic Network to compare these dates to. Did this happen in the newspapers that he was awarded this medal for whatever reason? Like you can correlate all that and everything. As I said, it's perfect. But there was an inception date for this, obviously this record, and it was like when he was appointed the head, like commander of the Stewards.
Yeah, so they created a new record for him.
Like it definitely seems like this record was inserted then, and whether there was a record previous or not is unknown. Still with me?
I lost my connection, dipped for a moment.
Oh, it's okay. Well, I said so. Like it was inserted on that day. This file you're staring at was inserted that day, but it's unknown whether there was one previously.
Okay.
Which means normally you'd be able to see a file being deleted and a new file inserted, and like all the groundwork that would involve hiding all that stuff. So like the metadata, and then you're in like the fucking nano metadata. None of that's there.
Nanometer.
Okay.
So that's.
Where did he serve before he became the head?
So he was essentially a diplomat who advocated for the peacekeeping intervention of the Idari, which is obviously the ship that all the Kasathans live on. He was like one of the strongest, like as I said, like voices of their quorum that advocated actually getting involved in the pact system.
Okay.
So basically a politician.
Yep.
To summarize, which again, if you know politicians, stares at camera. They shouldn't have a record this clean.
Yeah.
But
so,
all of that's on his record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a political head rather than like he hasn't come through the ranks of the Stewards.
He was like appointed commander, it seems from this. If he did serve going up through the ranks, you'd need to find someone who physically served with him to corroborate that, because there's no record of that. But it wouldn't be unheard of that someone of a Kasathan standing would be appointed that as a diplomatic, like, well, if yous are willing to extend, people this way, we'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the police and crimes commissioners.
Yeah, right, so there is that. It does seem
like that, but functional.
The interesting thing that you're seeing here, though, is he's being good at his job, right? It isn't just that his record's perfect, it's the fact that you are corroborating everything he's done. So it is one of those too good to be true, but he still did it, though, type records, where he was in, as you mentioned, like, obviously, commissioner type role. Like, he was meant to be a more oversight type role rather than an active role, and he is fully engaged in an active role. Like, he has taken, like, participation to heart, ultimately. That could just be a Kasathan cultural thing where they wouldn't just sit back and make decisions, which is ironic for their people being isolationist that way. But yeah, that's the interesting thing with the record is, like, it could have been a cushy number for anyone, but he put in the work, even though his record clearly shows that he didn't need to. Right? And you can obviously you can ask me a couple of questions if you have them. If I have answers for them, obviously, I don't mind if the gang weigh in with them as well, because I know it's sometimes tricky to come up with everything you want to ask. So any additional questions you want on top of that?
Yeah. So his success stories, are they like reducing crime and things? Like, was it like?
Yeah, like, so he has in terms of like reducing crime, that's a hard thing to do in a fucking system, right? There's too many varying factors, but he has made meaningful strides in locations. He did pull back steward oversight on Akaton, which is probably something that you will remember actively from basically pissed off stewards being assigned to Akaton to, patrol what is essentially a lost cause of a planet. Law-wise, he made the decision to pull everybody out of that.
It's the wrong thing to do, because that's exactly where the space messiah will be born.
So he pulled all the the financial sinkhole that Akaton was for the stewards. He stopped that. He things like that. He made very clever decisions, because the crime rates of Akaton didn't change, and that was his argument, right? That people were saying, well, now Akaton will be lawless, and it's it is lawless though. The cops we send there are just they end up fed up, done in, tired, corrupt. There's no point.
Yes, it's like Dundee.
I can neither confirm nor deny the unicorn invasion of Dundee. However, yes.
Okay.
So things like that. He basically learned where to draw, funnily enough, lines for where the stewards should focus their efforts and where they shouldn't. And the math has supported him in every single instance. Again, it's he's got prescience, right? But you obviously there's no record of him having any psionic activity at all, right? It's not a thing. It just seems like he's the type of person that seems to be lucky that way.
So my thoughts, either he's got somebody feeding him information from the future, in which case I'd look at Zig suspiciously, or reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, he's Zig's of suspicion, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any way that he'd have some sort of corruption going on?
I guess see if you didn't do the deep dive on the what do you call it, digital forensics that you've done. This would look like somebody just kept editing this record to reflect that everything he did was the right decision, right? You are seeing obviously stories and stuff that do seem to be again equally as perfectly corroboratory, or supportive is maybe a better word, to his record as well. So either he is manipulating all the information in the system, or he's just really that good. Right? And even CC would struggle with that level of manipulation.
Who's Rupert Murdoch in this system?
I can neither confirm nor deny the identity. It's
Yeah.
Q-Bob.
Us, somehow.
Probably. Okay, any other questions? And again, MD
What's
can
his-
lobby as well, but if you've got them, please
What's
lead.
his relationship with the Bank of Abadar?
That's a good one.
So much like people that came before, what do you call him? Babak. Forgot his name for a second there. I was just going to call him Commander.
Bab.
Yeah, Kebab. Very strained relationships with the Bank of Abadar before him, right? He came in and seemed like the bank not so much got on side with the stewards, but definitely seems to be happier with him at the head. Agents of the Bank of Abadar were less involved aggressively, or what's the word, hostile. For example, if there was instance involving the bank and stewards previously, very hostile witness vibes, very the agents were very much pleading the fifth or the equivalent in this setting, right? Basically awkward to deal with, and they were very, very, very awkward, so that they were we don't need to help. Legally, we don't need to help you. And it's a way to discourage them ever asking the bank for help, right? However, Bank of Abadar have helped support the initiatives Babak has implemented in certain places. So,
Suspicious.
yeah, in the fact that he has obviously not bothered them, they are happy to support that. So if there's been like I can't think off the top of my head because again I'm one man bound to this terrestrial plane. However, like if there was an initiative like for example the displaced people of Absalom, right? He would have set up an initiative to set up like temporary housing, and the bank would have helped fund that as a very goodwill gesture. So yeah, and it's all because of like his connections, it seems, to the bank.
It seems like he has connections to a lot of people, really.
Yeah. There's no trail though. Like it's not like he has a bank account with the Bank of Abadar. His like financial transactions in and out are all above board. It's not like he's getting paid more or like taking bribes or nothing is listed that way. No, excuse me. So it isn't like he is corrupt that way. It's not like the bank's bribing him for like leniency or anything. Because of course the bank would never break the law, right?
Of course.
No.
Like the Bank of Abadar has a very strong neutral stance in the Pact Worlds. Like they think everybody should access to a vault if they want one, and thus an account. And they very aggressively pursue that neutrality. Hence why, like again, stewards were like hitting their heads off the wall that is the bank, and Babak just stopped that by just not engaging that way, which meant the bank kind of needed him eventually. Right, you're seeing that at least from what you can ascertain. As to why, who knows? Anything else? Time to get any other?
You said he came over from the Adari.
Mm-hmm.
Adari.
The Adari, yeah.
Adari. It's possible to get into their records and see what the hell he was up to.
No.
No.
Nope. Nobody has access to that.
That.
Yeah. For lack of a better term, and I know it's weird saying this in space, but they are very air-gapped, information-wise. You'd have to get in.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Next side quest. Let's drag this out to
the heist of
2024.
the Adari. Yeah. Oh.
Anyone else got anything?
Yeah, like anybody else got any back related
That
questions?
we could get directly from his records, maybe.
I mean, I gave him obviously some banking info, like some account info there, purely because he got a 57.
Is there anything that might be indicative of his sort of? I know you've sort of indicated that he's not bent the rules, but he's known where to
Cut his losses.
Where to be lenient, where to pull back, and sort of leave well enough unknown that he's pragmatic in a lot of his decisions.
Yes.
But is there anything that would indicate a particular ideological bent to him? Anything that would suggest that he's a firm believer in, I don't know, pact, Vesk, merger, or whatever? Anything that would indicate that there's something he might be working towards?
He has not hinted or like got involved in any like ongoing political movements since he took office. You don't know about his record previous to that,
Smart,
but you know he was predominant enough in the Adari to get this position, right? It also means that if he like took this position and he has stated somewhere at some point he volunteered to be this person, right? And obviously the Pact Worlds accepted him, right? Because they were like, oh my god, the Adari have given up a Kasathan. Yes, we'll take that. Cool. Whatever happened there, he did come like when he did his, I'm going to take office type speech. It was very much he was very happy to have volunteered for this opportunity, to extend, the wisdom of the Kasathans to the greater Pact Worlds. So he's clearly a person that wants to better people, right? As you say, like pragmatic, very much so. No political leanings at all. But again, even that is weird, right? Even that's odd to see, like almost like a lack of. It seems more functionary rather than like a living person with like a personality. Like the realist, like the thing is though, you've drank with the guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you've like obviously you've never seen his mouth specifically, but even just that is personal, right? So like there is like a guy and a personality in there. So yeah, like it definitely looks too perfect still, despite everything you're seeing add up. But nothing is pointing to, like, there is, if you obviously pour through it and you look for the communications between, like, Matva and Babak, the only thing you can find is the authorization for a Vesk envoy to take control of the investigation of the Daza reactor. All filed under the laws that involve, like, for the, the Health of the People Act or whatever. So, and, like, it enforces, like, the stewards. Their agreement to like pull back from Akaton was if Akaton ever poses a threat to enough people, they will step in, and the reactor is obviously qualifying that.
Agreed, yeah.
So like, as I said, like where he's made pragmatic decisions, he hasn't been dumb enough to like cut himself off, right? But for the most part, like it looks like he just wants the best for the Pack World, right? If you want to read into that and say the Vesk working with the Pack Worlds would be better for both systems, I mean, the answer is yes. The problem is the Vesk are very much, well, you're a Vesk now.
Yeah.
So, how's he going to solve that if he can, right?
It does all sound relatively benevolent, which is always good.
Yeah, it's just a bit
it's also
squeaky clean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, so your evidence is that there's a distinct lack of evidence.
Yeah, which unfortunately isn't in of itself evidence.
Yeah, but it is weird. It is very weird. And as I said, like, Babak isn't somebody without enemies, right? Like, obviously a lot of people have not taken kindly to him because the annoying thing is he'll go in and he'll obviously, like, maybe some, as I said, like somebody in a kind of a middleman position in the stewards was probably getting some, like, backhanding credits from Akaton, like, corruption. And if he's stopped that, obviously, that's been annoying. That guy's maybe went out of his way to like make Babak's life hell. But everything Babak's done's worked out. So there's nothing to even pull him up on, right?
Yeah.
So not like all of those types of things, because obviously he, by being the shining knight that he seems to be, he would have annoyed a lot of people along the way. But the only thing it does is highlight how much of a like corrupt asshole they seem to be, by pointing out the fact that what he did seem to have helped everybody. So if anything, it's helped him root out corruption in the stewards even more, by being this weird untouchable like paragon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not entirely certain what to make of it, folks.
But it maybe like puts all the people like you've dealt with though in the stewards, how much kind of faith they've got in him, right? Like it maybe puts that into a bit of like perspective. Why he is allowed to just act essentially as Supreme Commander of the Stewards without running a lot of it through Pact law. Because all the politicians that are left after Absalom are like, he knows what he's doing. So, yeah. And obviously all the people left bureaucratically are all doing what they can to have obviously like scrambled for power, right? Like the remaining power that's been somewhat destabilized because of Absalom.
Yeah.
Mainly the dragons, obviously, making their play. Any Zora? Anything from you? You want to know about Babak?
No, I was going to ask about the vest stuff, but I mean, I just go fill in a bit really.
Anything specific about the Vesk stuff, or?
Nah, I mean, I guess something we could use against them in general, though, is he's using a known Vesk criminal at the moment as like.
If his name's not on any of the documents, though, it just says a Vesk envoy.
But then we could bring up what Vesk envoy that is.
The one that Lyko filed.
You.
Oh, god damn it.
Right.
It's you.
Yeah. Like, you guys technically gave him the perfect opportunity to do that.
Okay.
Because, like, Matva's name is not on anything. Like, you would not expect to see her name on anything, though, right? Should be a terrible spy if that was how it worked. Maybe she's wanting to push her retirement as a politician, right? You seen it work out for you? Zig, any Babak questions?
I can't think of anything, which is really annoying. I'm sure there are a bazillion Babak questions. But I can't think of anything offhand.
Okay. Yeah. I think on that note, some time passes in universe.
Never trusted time.
Yeah. That's fair in this game though. Some time passes and Lyko, you get a message.
Okay.
It's not from CC this time.
It's from Babak?
Of course it's from Babak.
Yep.
It says, it seems that you have questions for me. And then there's a set of coordinates. And that's where we end the session.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
So,
Okay.
what would you like to call the session?
Oh, that's good
I'm
fun.
not sure that's spelt though.
I had a suggestion. It's maybe not quite appropriate, but it was my initial reaction to like CC's decision to like fabricate stuff was like that is exactly the one thing we didn't want to happen, or something to that effect. But more seriously, something.
It was probably good that you let Weird go first, to be fair. Because CC might just have hit delete to all of that and just wrote in,
Yeah,
I'm a bad
no,
man.
It was for the best.
Yeah.
So, something to do with records, surely.
So I think there should be I think the word query should maybe make it into the title. Like next query, last query. Something akin that ties in the investigation and query. I'm not there yet, mentally.
Okay, so this is a bit of a...
Oh, I can't type. God damn it.
It's tangential,
Okay.
but it's sort of next to the... you can see where I'm coming from, but also I do feel like it might end up being a better title for another later session once I get back to
it's
the
actually
stuff
not
again or something.
It's not too dissimilar to what I've just wrote in my notes as a suggestion, which was dead end questions.
Colorblind?
Are we going for color blood? No.
Colorblind?
Yep. Yeah, I just feel like there's more questiony related puns that my brain's not giving me. I feel like there should be way more, but yes, a fatal error has occurred. That's not bad.
Yeah, that is actually really, really solid. Interesting that his colorblindness was the the full-on
like literal, like almost like
colorlessness. Yeah, what's that called?
I have absolutely no idea what the technical term for that is.
Achromatopsia. Achromatopsia. As a condition characterized by partial or total absence of color vision. There we go.
So that.
But on the other hand, achromatopsia is not a snappy name.
No.
It's also probably a grunge band or something.
So does that mean Zig's the
Oh.
top? Or does that mean that
he's-
Query was the top? Answer these questions. Weird.
Well, Query finished first. I didn't start us down this road.
I feel like
Why would
in
you
a
say
truer
that?
sense you did. Do you know, I like this one because it's like a Tron reference, right?
I've said that, but I have no idea. I've never seen Tron. I just agreed with you by default.
End of line. It was like the machine when it was speaking to them. Like tears.
And what
in the
is a Tron?
it's a theatre in Glasgow. Right, what else we got? It's a nice theatre actually. Oh, there's some good ones here, I think.
Should it be a vote splitter? I think it'll be a vote splitter.
I'm gonna vote for that. I don't know, I quite like that one. I also like Colorblind though. But that's
You know
share
what?
myself alone.
Actually, I think we're gonna settle on that one. I really liked Weird's proper answer. Like Tears of the Rain is cute as well,
Yeah.
though, but
Yep.
So you don't want I can't wait for the sequel.
It's
Next
good.
Query into the answer.
Like it's good, but also it's niche. He says in this game. Actually, niche should it? Why wasn't niche your Android name initially? Like, I feel like you missed a trick there. Right? I don't mean niche.
I mean, I got a bit of that in there.
Mm-hmm.
oh, you don't mean Friedrich Nietzsche? Okay.
I am the Ubermensch.
Right, so we're going with the fatal error has occurred. It's a good one. I like
The
it.
Eternal Return.
Right, so goals.
Always believe in your
So
goals.
Mine's ain't done.
No, it's
Fair.
not. Mine, thus speaks Zarathustra, weirdly. I don't know what that means. No, it's clarified Babak's loyalties, which, you know what, I'm going to say on track.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do a quick check-in here. How do we feel about Babak, right? Let's go down the line. So, Zora, hit us up first. See with Lyco's goal there, which is clarify Babak's lies. What's Zora's impression currently? And by Zora, I do mean you, because you've heard all those questions and answers, right?
What's
your thoughts? Good guy, bad guy?
I think he's just a politician.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
Okay, but a politician with the best interests of the Pact Worlds, or not?
Maybe the best interest he feels. I think he's got his own idea of what the best.
So basically, I think like good intentions or bad intentions is maybe a simpler way of saying this, right?
I guess he's got good intentions. I just don't know if he's doing it the right way. I think
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think he's a results guy, not a journey guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Isn't Zora?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Lyco, what's your snapshot of that?
For physics sake.
I know it is just good intentions. I know.
My first instinct is, well, I guess I think he's probably well intentioned in his own way.
Okay.
But I'm inclined to think that his good intentions really could go disastrously awry, because look who he's dealing with.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
Well, keep most of this for the wrap-up chat, right? We'll circle back to this.
But yeah, that is broadly.
Yeah, like good intentions is the summary.
Deliberately trying to do ill.
Okay, yeah, I think it's fair to say from what you've gathered so far. Weird.
I refer you to my latest comment in
No.
general text.
Assume it's redacted.
Okay. In that case, Babak, more like a cab.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I don't trust him.
Okay. So you think he's ill intent?
I think even if he feels justified in what he's doing, he doesn't feel like he's acting selfishly. I don't trust him.
Okay.
I think good
Oh,
intentions
yeah.
are much of a defense for anything.
Okay. Zig?
Dude's bad, man.
Okay.
Just he's walking around up to no good.
I know those people walking around. Yeah, screw them
Yeah.
and their plans
And
to
I'm
be
walking
pussies.
around over here. What you fucking walking around for?
I'm telling you, in his youth he used to loiter. So
We get diary
Yeah.
loitering, complaints.
Look
Yeah.
at this.
Okay, so anyway, that goal's ongoing. Weird, you have not yet ended Matva's influence or heartbeat. Would you agree?
Yeah, but I figured out I could probably take out a few of them all at once.
Okay. We'll circle back to
Some sort
that.
of bomb.
We'll circle back to that. Zig, have you fixed Thenida's death?
yes, I have.
Really? Tell me how you did that.
Magic.
Right? What magic?
A lot of off-screen
I
development.
Yeah.
It was off screen for me
We'll
too.
need to flash back to it. It's.
I'll tell you what. When we flash back to it, I'll give you the gold then. Right?
Yeah. Okay. I thought if I was confident enough, it would just.
I'm just waiting at the part where you're meant to have sent me your shopping list. Have you done that yet?
No, I was
Yep.
looking at my shopping list today, and then I was going to send it, and then I didn't.
Yeah. Just update the tab here at some point with that shopping list, and then tell me that it's done so I can look at it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ideally before next Monday. Right. General goals. Enact plan with the bioweapon. No. Enlist Syndial's help in bringing Bone Sages into anti-Urgulus plan.
Maybe. Who knows?
Like,
think so.
you spoke about it and then asked him about Tectolanis. So I think you are kind of needing to wait to see what happens with that before you have any insight, right?
Mm.
Since Syndial kind of just wandered off. I don't really like doing things obviously after the fact that we said we stopped recording and stuff, but you can just assume you wandered the ship. Lyco and never found him. But we'll cover that next session as well, just for so it's on the actual the game time. Buy more yours to find an Alice. Nope. Well, we did have Finalis for a bit this week, which was nice. Hand over query to Emma O. Sad face. No, still not, because I think our plans to go to Versus first to meet up with Thenida. Loop in as many allies into Plan B. I mean, well, you're kind of starting to vet people for Plan B, at least.
Yeah.
Yep. So
we're looping out.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because Babak was already kind of okay with Plan B, as much as he knew of it. Right, okay. Anybody changing their goals?
No.
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 Weird.
Weird.
Nope.
Okay, cool. In that case, wrap up.
Sorry, I'm reseating RAM.
Oh, fun. I'll tell you what, do you want to do your wrap-up chat first? We'll get you free and clear.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, it just is fitting that I'm currently under my desk reseating
Yeah.
the computer kit.
Stuff the
check.
proverbial CC has pulled it out, yeah.
Yep. Oh, this bastard. Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. I like getting into a bit of investigation, but only using the 2 skills that I'm good at.
Yep.
I'm concerned about what CC's getting himself up to. But that's
3 hours
a bit of a
unsupervised, it's fine.
yeah. Well, I gave him clear instructions.
Yeah. He did take notes at least.
Yeah, they weren't necessarily good instructions.
Or good notes.
But they were clear.
No comment.
It's not my fault.
No,
what happens
no.
next?
Yeah, it's like CC is his own man, right? He owns everything he does, but that's the problem. He thinks he owns
Horrible
everything.
little man.
Yeah.
Well, according to some theories of labor and ownership, right? Like, you own something because you work on it.
Is his last name Rand now? Like CC
No,
Rand?
this isn't Randy.
That's
This
not
is
Rand.
who am I?
Okay, I was gonna say because she's completely
Labor
opposite,
theory
right?
of ownership. Who's that?
I mean, that's. I think that actually originated from Locke,
Locke. There we go. Okay.
but then was obviously very influential on Marx, who developed it further.
Okay.
Yeah, I've recently been listening to a podcast on the Russian Revolution, so
Because I think it's one of the sort of things where obviously there are some interpretations of it that go in one way, and there are others that go in quite a different one. So, for instance, I'm aware that some people have used it to justify the sort of the taking of native or First Nations or whatever you want to call it land in the Americas because of the sort of noble savage idea or the sort of mound builders idea. This idea of the vanishing native who didn't really leave a trace in the land, and therefore it wasn't really their land. Didn't do anything with it, which wasn't true, of course, but.
it was also used as justification in the wake of the Mexican Revolution to seize land from gentry estates, essentially, and redistribute it to the people. And I think there's a good case to be made that that same logic applies and should apply in Scotland. There's a significant amount of land that is unutilized, and it's essentially tyranny of a few on the common good.
What are your
Really have a
thoughts on the
problem with that in
session we
country.
had?
I'm ambivalent.
My thoughts on the session.
Yes.
I really want to get more deets on this Babak fella, but that is not forthcoming.
I mean, the weird thing is, like,
from the
there's so little about him, which in itself is
Yeah.
weird. It's like his life is cultivated, as you saw.
Yeah, I mean, if we weren't trying to get to the end of this campaign sometime soon,
I told you if you leave me for too long, I'll keep developing plot. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, in that case, we should be raiding the Ildari. I mean, I've got enough arms. Looks like I should be allowed in.
Yeah, it's like, don't mind about the 4 legs. I've got the 4 arms. You know, I'll hide my mouth.
I'm
in.
imagining like some sort of like Arnie style of combined arms joke. You know, you could do that, just like burst through the wall.
It's not bad,
Something
yeah.
About, you know,
Burst through the wall.
kill
Remember,
the dinosaurs.
remember he
Combined arms. I don't know.
Remember, you can phase through the wall, so it's even sleeker.
Or both.
Yeah. Well, the captain should, be able to find someone in the Viscarum who can give us some details on Babak.
Mm.
They're so intimately linked.
Yeah, it's strange that he's. I mean, it's interesting that he's in bed with obviously, like, the top spy, and she's so kind of cavalier about it with you. Well, with Zora at least, right? But that makes sense because Zora and obviously Matva are quite a close relationship for Vesk standards.
It's not totally surprising that a cop would adopt spies from a fascist regime.
Are the Vesk fascists? Chat, please, share your opinions.
When in chat, if they're fascist,
Given that cops, would rather spend their time infiltrating environmentalists than actual fascists.
So where does Matva fall? Is she like an environmental fascist?
No, I'm saying this was just my comment on the spy cop issue.
I said Demandvin, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't say Matva. I felt my brain just questioned me there. I was like,
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, right. Like my brain was like, "Did you just say Matva?" I was like, "Demadvin," who is obviously
Demadvin.
Demadvin.
Yeah.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
It's a shame that we've alienated her.
Yeah, completely.
Double torture. But I blame the captain for that.
Yeah.
I'm not to be blamed for anything.
I think we're all to blame, but
I mean that's
fair.
That's a nice way to look at it. To be fair.
Yeah.
I refuse all blame.
I've been absolved, to be honest with you. Like, it's everybody's fault.
I've been.
I could keep grumbling about it. And
Uh,
as we know, that is sufficient to distance myself from the fallout.
maybe if that is perfect Vesk law logic, if everyone's to blame, nobody's to blame, right? If we're all involved, it's not a war crime. Okay. Anything else, thoughts-wise, then, Weird, regarding what unfolded this session? No? Good. Any thoughts on anything that happened with Query at all? I know you kept him kind of at arm's length.
Yeah,
Hey!
I stayed away from him. It's a shame it had to go that way, but also, yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Yeah. Like
He was not forthcoming about anything ever.
No, he was in fact very
So,
stubborn about most things. Evasive and
So
stubborn.
it's oddly surprising when the ragtag bunch of revolutionaries moved to go towards torture.
Yep. It's good.
Wait, what?
Yep.
The bad guys.
Well, we're not the good guys.
Yeah. We know this though. We had a very good chat between Lyko and Zig to highlight the fact that Lyko was like, Zig, we are not good people. But nobody is. Get over it, kid. Thumbs up.
Zig's a good guy. That's
You know what? Zig is a pretty good guy. He tries. It matters.
He's got a higher body count than any of us.
I think it matters that he tries. Though.
I think in the game, yes.
Irradiate people.
In the the abstract, no, right? Like Zora should have the highest body count on paper, if we include backstories we never saw.
Yeah.
yes.
But I'm assuming that Zig doesn't go around irradiating people at the weekend.
You honestly don't know, because I mean, if we factor in Zig's timelines, you might have the highest count already. So
Yeah.
Do abortive timelines count?
I think so. You
Is
still have
aborting a timeline murder?
a 2 in the chat if you don't want to hear those words again. So, anything else, Word?
I'm gonna ask
Choice
Reed
when it comes
Richards.
to universes.
Yeah.
And I think it was the right decision for all of us that Query's universe gets ended.
Yeah. Like, out of the two that I'm aware of, this one and his, I'm glad his is gone.
Look, it was already gone. That ain't our fault.
Yeah, that's fair. Jury's still out on if it's Zig's involvement or not, but yeah, for the most part it wasn't your fault, Lyko.
It was probably Zig's involvement, but
I am happy to say it was probably not Lyko's fault. I'll go that
that's
far.
good.
But no further.
And you know, many things in this game haven't been my fault.
It was obviously my
Some
fault.
have.
Zora,
Fucked about with almost too much.
speaking of, don't give us your wrap up. Hi.
Yeah, it was good. It was good fun. It was shame for Query Boy.
Yeah, a bit of sadness.
Damn shame. It was quite.
Had some comedic Alice as well, some banter back.
Yeah. There was a bit of comedic Alice. It was pretty good. It was also nice to see the engineering crew do
their actual job.
The part after the what the fuck like.
What is the word for?
Fuck it, words, man. Words. Try to frame Barback. Right, that's the simple words, but there's an actual word for basically try to
falsify evidence?
Yeah, falsify fucking evidence into something.
So, welcome in Argonar. Thank you very much for the raid. Hello. We're in our wrap-up chat phase, but feel free to stay with us.
Yes. Perfect
time. But yeah, so when they chose to falsify evidence, yep.
Yes, it was always nice to see them doing that. As for Babak, who knows? I don't know. I'd like to think maybe he just doesn't know what he's getting himself into, but we'll see. Because, yeah.
And he seems to have a good record so far, right?
I mean, we've already stated that it's just too perfect, man. Nobody's that good.
Yeah, definitely very, very interesting. Okay. I don't know. Any other thoughts on what CC's up to?
I mean, nobody can tell what CC's up to. CC does what CC does. We can't stop him.
Yeah.
Let's just hope that he doesn't mess up too much. But that's pretty much what I think every time I ask to do something.
It'll be fine. I think the trick, remember, is keeping him busy. Remember.
Yes.
Leaving him to his own devices is the worst idea. Because he ends up getting more devices than you started with. Yes. Anything else, buddy?
No.
Thank you. Yes. Zig.
Yeah, that was good. I feel kind of bad for Query, but it's not my fault. So that's where I stand on that one.
Probably isn't your fault.
I did what I could. Actually, I mean, there's probably something I could have done, but
like what though, ultimately, right? Like what really could you have done?
But like what? Yeah, exactly. And I think I don't think Zig particularly enjoys this whole experimenting with
people's minds and comas.
People's minds. Especially when he's like, right, I'm gonna do something, and not knowing what the outcome will be is it's always a bit nerve wracking.
I think experimenting with psychic powers while you're in someone's mind isn't always recommended.
Yeah. But now he has no mind, so I guess there's that. I mean, honestly, I really enjoyed the kind of staff meeting at the start. It was just nice to kind of get the rundown and get Zig mostly caught up as well. Where I thought he actually knew more than he doesn't, or than he does. And yeah, and then CC and I mean, Weird's always amazing, but CC's just top boy.
Yeah. And yeah, sad Alice, right?
I know. I'm a bit worried about Alice as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure how it's gonna go with handing over a brain dead Query.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, I know, not super specific about what condition he should be in, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can fake.
Yeah, maybe we
a
can
brain.
prop him up.
I mean, Sunday's quite good at messing with minds. It isn't just you, right?
Oh my god! I just had a brilliant idea.
What's your brilliant idea?
We could dump the extra personalities from Thanaida into Query.
If that works, that's hilarious, and we should definitely do it.
I don't think it'll work.
No, but my excellent idea was literally just like take him off life support, and you can animate him for long enough for us to get in there and out. But no, that's not an excellent
that's
idea.
So much worse.
It's actually a terrible idea, and it's not only is it a terrible idea, it's an idea that Lyko wouldn't suggest, so I'm not going to.
Is that a Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Well, no, because they didn't really actually reanimate him.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's. That's the one I was thinking of. Sorry, that is what I was thinking of.
They didn't have a necromancer in the party, so it's quite different.
That's for the sequel.
Yes.
I mean,
Midnight
it's
at
an
Bernie's.
option. I'm not sure how comfortable anyone would be with it, but especially Lyko as well.
I mean,
yeah, there are reasons.
Yeah. But as an emergency last ditch, I mean,
also if Thanaida was to do that, at least aesthetically, he does have violet skin and silver hair as well, or platinum hair. So he would come across like a dark elf as well. Not that actually matters, obviously, but just saying, looks similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's next for Zig then?
I guess. I mean, having a chat with Thanaida is important. Because Thanaida knows that she doesn't have long left. Am I right in thinking that? Yeah.
Because she
So
did her medical scans first, remember? Then Lyko went in, and Dr. Helene had said to Lyko, like Thanaida said you were okay to hear all this, so that's the only reason why I'm sharing her info.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be that's got to be Zig's next thingy, is a big conversation about that, because there are things that can be done, but it also involves a lot.
Yeah, and like it kind of puts into perspective a bit of like, I don't know if you were there for that or not, but like when Lyko and Thanaida pretty much parted ways, I think her line was something kind of, was it call me when everything's falling apart, something like that. Whatever her like parting words for you, Lyko, were when you were saying, can we count on you in the end, basically. And she gave some fleeting words, but never brought up her condition, obviously, and left that for Helene to do for her.
Yeah, it was an interesting approach, I'd say.
Yeah, probably because she was maybe dealing with it, right? Like that's maybe she talks about it, becomes realer, right? You could read into that if you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, bud?
Yes, but we can move on. No, it was really good. Thank you for running and continually making Zig sad and tormented. It's great.
Next time, right, we'll work on a character that's impervious to these plotlines. Okay.
Telling you, my space plumber. That's no problem.
Your catchphrase is just going to be, well, you see, there's where your problem is. It's just you pointing at random things.
Yep.
No, your catchphrase. I've got a suggestion. Okay.
Oh, I'll get the lawyers ready.
That was the suggestion.
Okay, perfect.
Just an inhale. Just sharply inhaling your breath through your teeth if possible.
What can happen to plumbers? Look at Mario.
Yep.
Or just an Italian impersonation.
It'll just be the shenanigans. Like I feel like Mario is the equivalent of what would happen, the Zig effect for a plumber, right? That is the equivalent, I feel.
Oh no. We're going to get into some really dodgy spaghetti face.
No, what we're going to do is we're going to ask if Zig has any...
You dress up as a child, not an Italian.
No, what we're going to do is ask Zig if he has any more thoughts on this wrap-up chat.
No, yeah, it was good. It was very, very good.
Good.
Continue doing what you do.
Thank you. I will
with this world and
try
universe.
to until we eventually
until it stops.
Yeah, until it stops. Until we can stop
then
it.
Stop it. Then just stop.
I'm a really, really bad source of entropy for this game, I'll be honest. I've tried, but when you're full up on one universe, it's difficult to take out another so quickly, you let the first one settle. But yes, thank you for playing Zig as always. He's always an interesting, I guess, I'm going to use the term disaster artist because you do make some great scenes out of like some potentially terrible decisions, and it's great. So I like that Callum is willing to make Zig make these decisions. They are very interesting to explore.
Yeah, it's really hard to juggle like the probably objectively best thing to do, and then but actually try and make that decision as someone is.
Yeah, like
it's hard.
It is something I've said a few times recently, and Colin's quite an advocate for this as well. Is like characters shouldn't be making the best decisions all the time. Like
100%. Yeah,
they just shouldn't. They should be making decisions that make sense, and so long as you're running it by your players, so it's not completely like destabilizing like the balance of a table and the enjoyment of everybody, then you generally find each other like are more willing to support like the more character specific choices. A very brief example to not tangent too much, but in our Wednesday game with Colin's character, it was asked by someone that really, really should not have heard the words that his character would definitely have told him.
Oh yeah, the wolf.
Yeah, about who they were working for. And it was like, oh, I don't want to tell him we're working for the guy he clearly hates.
Yeah.
However, my character would, though.
I like that. I've used it as an example in a couple of conversations now because it's an example of
Nice.
a character who is. I put him down as sort of neutral because I imagined him as slightly more edgy than he was ultimately. But he is basically I would say, lawful good character. Maybe chaotic good, maybe neutral good. But I'm inclined to say lawful because in his own way he has a strong sense of a sort of natural order of things. And to me, that's not really chaotic. But again, anyway, not to get into alignment shit, but the thing was that the pragmatic thing to do would have been to lie. But it simply wasn't in his nature to lie.
Yeah.
And so I made the suboptimal decision that may have cost the party a valuable ally, and I ran it past the party. I said, look, I don't think Vanker would actually do this in the way that's conducive to getting on one side.
It might even
I
have
think I'm
caused a
going to
fight.
tell him the stupid thing. Yeah.
No. But no, like, I think that has a lot of value, though, because, like, these are decisions that characters would make, and it doesn't need to be game destabilizing levels of decisions, but it can be game changing decisions, and sometimes those are the more interesting to follow. So
it makes your character's personality matter, that they're not just optimal decision makers all the time. And you know, I'm not saying be destructive for the fun of it. As I say, like, this is an example of a good character doing an honest thing, because I was kind of at that point in a party, a pretty roguish party, right? Who several of us, even the more benevolent ones, would have had no problem lying through their teeth.
Yeah, just for the sake of, like, mitigating calamity. Yeah.
Yeah, they would have justified it to themselves, and at least one of them just would plainly not have given a shit.
Yeah.
So to some extent, the fact that I made that questionable choice kind of gave my character a justification for for existing. Like, why is this character here? Why is he doing this? Like, well, he's doing this so that somebody does the right thing, or he's, you know, it obviously, like, he had a whole sort of divine will sort of driving him thing, but it explains
it's you
why
having
this
basically
character,
carrying the moral voice of the party for a bit as well.
Yes,
which is important.
It justifies their role in the party, and it gives them a distinct flavor. It means that my character doesn't feel like Fleabite with a different voice, because we'll both make suboptimal decisions, but we're not going to make the same ones usually.
Yeah, and like it's one of the reasons why I'm very pro Alexander's like RP style as well, is he has somehow managed to get through like 100 or like near, like, was it 70 odd sessions of playing a Skaven based character, and it's I would say Skaven based rather than Skaven. He's done a lot to smooth down the edges of Fleabite without really losing what he liked about the idea of the character. And he has made a lot of suboptimal decisions because it's it is what Fleabite would do, but it's not, I'm doing this because I think it will fuck the party over. I'm doing it because Fleabite really wants this bell, and he's going to take it. And it doesn't
even
matter.
Just making Fleabite is a great example, because he was like, yeah, no, not going to build this character properly. What are you talking about?
As I said, and before we go back on track, the last thing Alexander had said in character was, do I need to spend all of the point by points? And I just said, yes, you need to be a legal
it's just
build.
Such a beautiful thing. He should have rolled and hoped he did badly and made sure he did it on camera.
Oh, it would have been solid, to be fair. It would have been solid. But yes, anyway, sorry. We've nicely segued into Colin's wrap-up chat. So, Lyko?
Me. Yeah, so, we're already quite late, so I won't drag on too much. Reiterate some of the other guys have said. A nice little send-off, I think, actually. I think that was kind of their worst ways to go. There was someone there with him at the end, and maybe that vision will have granted something of value to Zeg. Like, seeing Cindiel in that context, maybe there's something there that could be useful. You know, maybe it wasn't all for nothing. I mean, obviously, in and of itself, he did a good thing. He stood by him, even though he couldn't figure out a way to help. Well, it's not like we knew that there was a way to help. I just sort of encouraged him. I mean, Lyko, I quite like this because Lyko got to do something that was a bit devious in that he encouraged Zig to do a good thing. But he was forthright about this, but he still did it. He encouraged Zig to do a good thing for Query purely sort of as a test run. Not purely, largely as a test run to see if he could help Shackles.
Yeah.
So I like that partly because it gave me an opportunity to both be sort of encouraging to Zeg and tell him to sort of, explore your powers and how you can use them to help people, but also to be that little bit slimy,
It's a
that little
very
bit
Mal
ambiguous.
Reynolds decision.
Yeah, he is a little bit. He is a little bit Mal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed that because I thought it was a nice little moment for the two characters, and it underscores again how different they are.
Yeah.
And yeah, I enjoyed very much the fact that we got a little bit of Weird and CC. And I think that their different approach of like, let's see if we can get the legitimate stuff first versus, okay, how much would you like me to lie? I thought that was quite comical, and it sort of it underscored a difference in philosophy where CC just doesn't really give much of a shit about anything.
It's like, how quick can I get the job done, basically?
Yeah, he's fascinated with technology and with its uses and with developing it, but he maybe doesn't have a spiritual core. He maybe doesn't have necessarily much of a moral structure. I think he just does what he does. Very chaotic, I suppose.
It is very tricky as a GM to get in the mindset of what they describe Scaramanders to be like. So
yeah, because they're entirely unlike Vesk are basically Romans, right? Like that's fine.
Yeah.
But the Scaramander are just they are very alien. They are not. They don't organize themselves in the way that humans do. So it's hard to think about a being that is like their society is basically constantly shifting and task driven. And
yeah, it's for me the thing. I know we obviously joked very early on about wanting a pet Scaramander, and obviously then CC was written into the plot from like before you had asked for a pet, right? There was always the the Conspiracy Craig forums and stuff behind the scenes, because I think sometimes it's easy to forget his name is Conspiracy Craig.
Yeah. I like to think that is his given name.
Yeah. And like it just is easy to forget that, right? And I enjoy the fact that you all seem to enjoy your interactions, or at least what you see CC getting up to, rather than him being that annoying little critter character that's like not cutesy, if you know what I mean, for the sake of it, but like, do you know, like the pet character that some games end up with, where you're like, oh, that also. The collection issues, because I've tried to make sure the NPCs, because you have collected a lot of NPCs, but I've tried to make them seem useful with their own motivations rather than just being, well, the party liked you, so you're with us now.
Well, I think as well, I like that we've sort of gathered people over time because it makes us feel more like a crew. It was quite funny the way we were all being given like senior officer titles, and we were like the only person remotely connected to that role. So it's like, well, yeah, of course we're in charge of it.
Yep.
We are the entire department. But we've expanded our crew a little bit, even if just temporarily. So I think that's nice. I think obviously some Starfinder games I think could probably scale into larger ship sizes, in which case you'll have more NPCs than you'll ever be expected to interact with under your command, sort of thing. So I think it's a good system for it because of the sort of space.
Well, even we mentioned it earlier. Like I mentioned very early on, only 8 bone sages survived, and you have only like you still don't know any like the whole list, right?
Yeah.
Because it might be a very interesting thing, and there's been a lot of bone sage centric plot lines that have been like at the forefront of this game. But at no point have people went, well, please list all 8 of them for my records, because they haven't been important, right? You've not needed the info. And that's something that's important, is like, while adding in people like Sparks or Morty or like Old Man Guns and things, like it is maybe important to pad out that second tier of NPCs to make the world still feel that bit tangible. Because it can sometimes just feel like, well, our main character's talking to the equivalent main character that the story has. So, yeah. That's why I like people like Ivan, and obviously like Alice, what you call her, we've also got obviously CC, for example. Like, they're good, like, characters because they have quite defined roles. Obviously, Ivan's role was he was your first delivery, and you just kept him. Like, he's been the closest to the pet class.
He seems to be sentient, you know. So
synthwave sentient, definitely. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, no. So it's an interesting one for some of the little character interactions within the crew, and we did get some movement there with obviously Babak seeming to notice, and he does seem to be very on the ball with that sort of thing.
Yeah,
which is interesting. Like, he knows people are looking.
Like the fact that you'd filed your, official, like, this is a investigation I've commissioned, blah blah blah, and then probably the time it took her ship to get there, right? And Matva's already there. Yeah, it's It's very interesting how on the ball he seems to be. But then, given what you've discovered, it makes sense, right? That he's at least that on top of shit. The mystery of Babak continues.
Indeed.
Yes.
And I look forward to finding out more. I think I've pretty much said my piece.
Yeah, I was going to just say as well, like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I meant to say this last time, but like, your sheer joy at the badge last time when we were doing wrap-up chat, I kind of carried that for the week. That was very fun. It was good. It's nice to see
that was because it was that little thing that made me doubt him, even though I knew there's no way he would be this sloppy, and there's no reason to think he was even here. But someone wanted this to be here.
Yeah.
Who? Why? And then my mind went, well, Shakos probably.
Yeah. It's handy you're going to Versus, right?
Guess so.
So yeah, be interesting to see how that goes. Yeah, anything else, bud?
I think that's that.
No, me too. I think so too. Thank you all for playing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you to everybody who watched. Thank you to Argonar for the raid as well. That was very kind of you. I hope you were sleeping well. Thanks to Siren, as always. It's always a welcome addition.
Thank you to our loyal fan.
Yes. Thank you to anyone from the raid that stuck around as well. Hello, sorry you got us at the wrap-up chat part of the game. Feel free to...
Not ideal, but I hope. I think there might be one of you left. I hope
maybe.
It wasn't
Who knows?
too bad.
But yes, until next time, say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.